Hi, I'm Lynn Gray, Chair of the Hillsborough County School Board. I want to welcome you to Hillsborough County Public Schools. We serve more than 200,000 students. That includes children in preschool through our Adults in Our Workforce program.
Hi, I'm Dr. Stacy Hahn, the Board Vice Chair. Our district is the 7th largest in America, and our team is made up of more than 24,000 people working at nearly 250 sites across the county.
We are diverse and dedicated. Our board meetings are held in our board auditorium on select Tuesdays at 4 p.m. The best way to serve our students and our community is to involve you, the public, in what we do.
You are welcome to email or meet with any of our board members and follow our district on social media. Board meetings are covered live by Hillsborough Schools TV on Spectrum Cable Channel 635 and Frontier Cable Channel 32.
Meetings are streamed on our website at hillsboroughschools.org. Closed captioning is provided on all broadcasts, and past meetings are available in our online archives.
We are interested in what the public has to say. We'll include time for audience comments before we address our business items. Our agenda and any supporting materials can be viewed online in advance. They're posted 7 days before each meeting on our website at hillsboroughschools.org.
Our vision is preparing students for life, and that means all students, every day. Todos los estudiantes, todos los días. Thank you for your interest in education. With your help, we're making decisions that shape our community's future.
Good evening, everyone, board members, Superintendent Davis, wherever he may be. We're going to call the board meeting of September 9th is now called to order. Member Hahn, would you do us the pleasure for a moment of silence and followed by the pledge?
Thank you, Chair Gray. The United States will soon pause again to remember the tragic events that happened 20 years ago on September 11th. As Americans, we continue our solemn vow to never forget the nearly 3,000 lives we lost on that day. While the 20th anniversary of 9/11 marks one of the most difficult events in American history, it is also a day where, from the very ashes of heartbreak, arose a determination of unity and compassion that will never be forgotten. Please join me in a moment of silence today for the innocent men, women, and children who lost their lives on an airplane, at the World Trade Center, at the Pentagon, and on the streets of New York City. For those civil servants, firefighters, and police officers who rose in service during the rescue and recovery efforts. For the brave men and women of our military who have dedicated and lost their lives protecting our safety, our freedom, and our democracy. And for all those who continue to grieve their loved ones today. Thank you, and please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Member Hahn, for that reflection of the 911. Very appreciated by all. I need a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. I have a motion by Member Perez, a second by Member Washington. Will there be any discussion? Seeing none, please vote when your lights are on. Let's see. Okay, and all members are saying yay. Member Snively has had another commitment she had to fulfill, so she will not be in the meeting today. Let the record reflect that all board members, with the exception of Member Vaughn, who's on Teams, and Member Snively, who is also on Teams, are present either in the boardroom or by remote. Board members, we have 7 sets of minutes to be approved today. We have on the 4/27/2021 school board recognition, 6/15/2021 school board workshop, 6/29/2021 school board workshop, 8/12/2021 school board workshop, 8/12/2021 school board meeting, 8/18/2021 school board meeting, 8/24/21 school board meeting. I need a motion and a second to approve the minutes. I have a motion by Member Combs. I have a second by Member Perez. Will there be any discussion? Seeing none, please vote when your lights are on. And at this time, Member Vaughn, are you in the audience? Okay, Member Vaughn and Member Snively?
Member Snively's not participating today. She's not able to attend it.
She's not able to participate. Okay. Board members, it's unanimous. Thank you. Board members, I'd like to go over the format of today's meeting. For precautionary measures, we are limiting attendance to 50 at this time, and we are practicing social distancing as much as possible. So we ask our guests in the boardroom to keep one chair between the families. As a reminder, we are a nonpartisan board who believe all children can be empowered to learn, to succeed, and our decisions will be made with that understanding. To pave the way for efficient and effective agenda statements and/or questions, board members will have 3 minutes to speak with 30 seconds for final thoughts. Afterward, the superintendent can respond. If you have further questions, you're asked to get back into the queue. Member Hahn will now read the board guidelines.
As we begin this afternoon's meeting, let me quickly review the format of our school board meetings. Please silence all electronic devices. There are speakers in the room behind me that allow board members to hear the meeting upon stepping away from the dais. And this meeting can be viewed with closed captioning on the live webcast, on cable TV, and on video monitors here in the auditorium. It can also be viewed with closed captioning in the online video archives.
Thank you, Member Hahn. Board members, we have 2 items scheduled for time certain. At 5:01 p.m., there will be a final public hearing on the millage rates and budget for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. Adopt the 2021-22 budget as presented, adopt the final 2021-2022 millage rates as presented, and approve the resolution adopting the final millage rates and budget. Authorize staff to perform all tasks to ensure compliance with Florida statutes 200.065, truth in millage, also known as TRIM, and also we'll have 6 p.m. employee input. We're going to go ahead and start with public comment first, and I'm just going to read a few things to consider, and welcome, by the way. The board welcomes comments from citizens and values your input to the board. In order to provide the most comprehensive response to your comments, our staff will follow up with you and will keep our board informed about the responses. Our school board respects the public's right to speak to the board, and we appreciate you taking your time to be here. However, it is requested when you address the board comments, they're not directed personally against a board member or staff member, but rather directed at the issue. Any behavior intended to interrupt the orderly conduct of this meeting will not be allowed. Our civility policy is in place. When addressing the board, please state your name and speak clearly into the microphone. As a reminder of our way of work, we have allotted 45 minutes for public comment. However, at times like today, and I'll ask the board, there could be an extension of time. And at this time, board members, would you mind if I extend it to an hour? Do I have consensus? Okay. And so we will. And that means our public will have 2 minutes to speak verses 1. This afternoon, each speaker will have 2 minutes. When there are 30 seconds left, you will see a yellow light on the lectern. A red light and a chime will indicate when your time is up. I will now call upon the first speakers. And again, I want to express my appreciation for you all being so organized. Jim Castano, Craig Newman, Arlette Parrish, Priscilla Vega, Luann Talbot, and Mr. Castano, you're first. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. James Castano, Hillsborough Public School Advocates. I was a first responder at the World Trade Center 20 years ago this Saturday. It was a day full of death and destruction which could have been prevented. The indication and warnings were present for years indicated Al-Qaeda wanted to conduct an attack on American soil. Many people lost their lives that day because the U.S. ignored the warnings. I am calling on all of you to stand in the face of evil. Pay attention to the indication and warnings of a concerted effort to destroy our public schools by withholding our ESSER II and III funds, and through privatization, which will eventually force a state takeover. Hillsborough County Public Schools is in a $60 million deficit, which left unaddressed will cause my prediction to come to fruition. The funds are there. Demand that the state release the ESSER II and III funds to correct the budget shortfall. Advocate for a millage to increase our per student spending, which is 46th in the nation, and increase our teacher pay, which is 49th in the nation. Create additional community-based modeled schools to meet the needs of our underserved communities. I also want to thank Chris Farkas, Kenny Arturo for addressing the AC issues in District 5 and around the county. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Newman? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Craig Newman. I've lived in South Tampa since 1960, and I'm a product of public school, Dale Mabry, Coleman, and Plant. I'm also with the Public School Advocates. As you're already aware, the national average per student on education spending is about $15,200. The state of Florida ranks somewhere around 46 to 44 in the nation on average spending of roughly $7,800 per student. That must change. The school board must work to have federal government increase the funding for our students. More importantly, the school board must work to get our state legislators to release ESSER funds to the school district of Florida. If we're going to improve the education of the state and up our numbers, we have to do these things. It's imperative. Thank you for your time. Have a good day. And go Bucks.
Yes, then there's the Go Bucks, absolutely. Miss Parrish is next, followed by Miss Vega, and then Miss Talbot. And let's see, we have two? Okay. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon, members. Again, my name is Arlette Parrish, and I spoke last time in reference to our kids. And what I want everyone to remember today, as I always give you a memory to try to hold on to, and that is 1 in every 4. And I know that the extension is on dealing with the mask mandate. So my thing is, I still want to talk about that extension, because an extension means it's going to end, or we're going to have to fight again, in other words. And I want to look at the fact that in my son's school, which is Williams Magnet Elementary School, middle school, and they do not even have the space to separate our kids 1 foot. They have connected desks, they have connected chairs, and so my point is, the mask is the only thing that separates my son from anyone else. My son has had COVID. And I want to ask anyone, have you ever been where you couldn't hug your child? Does that mean anything? Do you have to know my son's name to care about his health? I don't need to know yours. I care about what happens to them because our children are our future of the fact that there is absolutely no elderly person, no nurse, no doctor, no scientist where you can have that deals with the fact we have to have children to rise to that point. We must remember, 1 in 4, will your child be 1? Is that okay for your child to be 1? It's not okay. Every child is important, and they deserve to be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vega, followed by Ms. Talbert, and then we'll have our next 5 come in, which will be Farah Troya, Anika Vahihan, Wendy Malial, and Kelly C., with Jason Ferger. And good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
So I'm here, I'm a mother of 2 kids that attend Hillsborough County School, and my issue is the mask mandates. So I wasn't at the last board meeting, and honestly I've never been involved in any of these board meetings because I never saw the importance of it, but my kids have been required to wear a face mask this entire time, and I've been very unhappy. You know, there's no science to back up that masks work. I'm still getting notifications from the school stating that the COVID cases are high and kids are having to quarantine. You know, there was a board member here at the last meeting that stated that, you know, they don't want masks to be mandated the entire school year. But I know that that's what's going to happen because I know that when this one's up, you guys are going to vote in favor of masks again, and it's going to be 60 days and then 90 days and 120, and before you know it, the whole school year, the kids are wearing masks. It's not fair. I think that if parents are that concerned about their kids catching this virus, maybe they should consider an alternative for their children. But I want to keep my kids in school. You know, I believe that it's good for them to socialize and interact with their friends. But I think you guys really need to consider that. This is something we're going to have to live with. The virus isn't just going to disappear. Unfortunately, there are deaths. I understand everybody's concern, but we have to figure out a way to get it back to normal for these kids. You know, I have a daughter that's 3 that was in a school that had no mask mandates. There were no COVID cases. You know, if anything, maybe there was 1 for the school year. So it's just, you guys need to figure out a better way to handle this situation for the kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Talbert? And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Luann Tolbert, and I'm here as a member of HPSA. I'm concerned that the mask mandate issue and the fight for ESSER funds is causing our district to downplay a few other major concerns that affect our staff and our students. One example is computer-based baseline and mid-year testing in our high schools. Evidently, the district leaders want us to accept that computer-based testing in August and November is best practice just because the state-mandated FSA is computer-based. This topic was raised at yesterday's APC meeting. APCs are overwhelmed. They're unable to perform their primary duties as instructional leaders because they have been managing computer-based testing since August 12. Another example is the elimination of the college and career counselor position at all high schools. Because of the budget crisis, the CCC position was eliminated last spring. As a result, traditional counselors are expected to manage college and career counseling in addition to their other duties. This fall, there will be no district-sponsored college night for 2 reasons. One is COVID, and the other is that nobody has time to plan or organize it. The district senior handbook, which has provided essential information about applications, transcripts, deadlines, and scholarships, has not yet been published. Volunteers are working on this handbook and hope to make it available to seniors by October. The elimination of CCCs is an equity issue. Some families can afford private counselors, but the majority of our families either cannot afford a private counselor or they're simply unaware of the increasing complexity and competitiveness in the college application process. As a result, the class of 22 will undoubtedly suffer the consequences. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Farah Troya. Come on up. And then Anika, Wendy, and then Kelly, and then Mr. Ferger. and good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is my first time doing this, and I am appalled at what's happening to our children, masking them day and night. I cannot believe I came from a third world country, and what you guys are doing is pretty much the same thing that I fled, and I will not stand for it. I know there's a lot of parents that can't come speak up because they're scared to speak up. I've had it with the mandates, not only mask mandates, now thinking of mandating the vaccine to those 12 to 15, and that is absolutely not right. I mean, we have our own choice. We have choice to make. We have the right to make a decision for our own children. Just like we do not have a right to tell you what you should do with your children, you cannot tell us what to do with ours. And we are free to do that. And unfortunately, I feel like we're losing it somewhere. Okay, you guys, and I'm sorry to say this because unfortunately I've met a couple of you on here today, but we've lost it. You guys should be working for us the people. You guys are not doing that for us. You guys are standing up for something that we don't believe in. And believe me when I tell you it's coming bigger than you've ever thought possible. Okay, because you know what, and you sit there and you look at me like, oh, you know, I have this shirt on, of course, I'm a Trump supporter. Let me just say why. Because I came from a third world country where I wasn't free. I wasn't able to make those choices. And I'm here. It's okay. What's coming? It's gonna be big.
You have, all right, hold on. You have 30 more seconds if you'd like to. No, it's not your fault. This is your first time, and we want to make sure that we're fair. So go ahead.
I appreciate that very much, and I'm sorry. I thought my time was up.
That's okay. Go ahead and give it a go.
I'm just tired of it. I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. And you know what? It's not like we're having a conversation together. Even though I'm up here talking, you just letting me speak and not doing anything is not worth it. We got to do something. We got to stand for what we believe in, like God. We believe in God. We don't believe in anything else. Please, guys, do it for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Anika Verheyen. I'll get it right, hopefully, eventually. Good afternoon. Did I do better on that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Anika Verheyen.
As long as I'm getting better. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right, can I
Yes, you may begin. Thank you.
Okay, I'm here today to ask for an extension of the mask mandate as well as to increase the COVID prevention measures. Children now account for almost 27% of the COVID cases, according to CNN. They have increased exponentially because of the Delta variant, and the number in children in hospitals are growing. And most importantly, we don't know what the long-term effect is if the children are being infected, right? Mentally, emotionally, physically. So therefore, we must use all preventative strategies that are available to us. We want to stop this pandemic. We want to stop the transmission. I think we all agree that we are quite sick of the pandemic. So that's why I'm requesting the following. Extend the existing mask mandate. It's the CDC new guidance to wear a mask in indoor places even when you're fully vaccinated. Practice physical distancing and allow contact tracing in the schools. Improve ventilation in the classrooms. Check these AC filters, clean them, make sure the AC is also working. Increase the transparency of COVID communication. I would love to know as a parent if there is a case in one of the grades of my children, not just the entire school, because I would love to take preventative measures to keep my children home, not carpool going to soccer if there is a case in the grades. Provide test kits and encourage self-testing. A lot of the corporations are already doing that in America. And lastly, offer monetary incentives to teachers and employees and to get the vaccine, right? Dr. Fauci says if we want to protect the children, particularly those who are not yet eligible for vaccination, you want to surround children with people who are vaccinated, teachers, school, personnel, everyone else. Let's stop this pandemic. Let's do our share.
Thank you. Thank you. Next will be Wendy Mayel, and then Kelly C., and then Jason Berger. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm here today as a concerned mother and citizen of Hillsborough County to speak on the lack of ESSER funds our district has received from the state. I'm here to advocate for all students and teachers, but especially those low-income students, students of color, students with disabilities, multilingual learners, and students who are part of the LGBTQ+ community. The pandemic has made the disparities in education for these students even greater. Other states and school districts are already spending or making spending plans for their third round of ESSER funding. These funds can truly be transformative, especially for our underserved students. To the board, I ask, what are your spending plans for these funds? More importantly, what are you doing to get these funds? To my community, I ask that you get involved in this issue and press our state leaders to release the ESSER funds to our schools. Our teachers and students deserve better. Thank you very much for your time and allowing me to bring attention to this issue.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Next, Kelly C. And Kelly, I know this is your first time, so just relax, right?
Oh, no, this is like my fourth.
Oh, your fourth time. Well,
Yeah.
I apologize. So, well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Kelly Carling, and I'm the mother of 4 children in Hillsborough County Public Schools. And I just want to say that mandating masks in the classrooms is like passing out tampons at Plant High School and telling children that they prevent pregnancy. They're completely useless. And I think it may seem like it feels like it's better than nothing, but in the end, it's going to make all of us look like clowns. Sweden. You know how many days schools were closed in Sweden since the pandemic began? 0 days. Do you know how many kids who are healthy who don't show symptoms have to quarantine? 0. Do you know how many kids are mandated to wear masks in Sweden? 0. Do you know how many kids who've died with COVID in Sweden? 0. Okay? I gave the secretary a New England Journal of Medicine article for all of you to review. It's highlighted the important points that I want you to look at. The transmission rate is incredibly low, and nobody's wearing masks. So most of my family is in Sweden, and they never mandated masks for children in schools. They wear them in healthcare settings, but not in schools. Schools are a safe haven for children. They're sacred. They do everything they can to keep kids in school. They're not sending kids willy-nilly into quarantine because a kid who sat next to them tested positive. They're not even really. My kids are vaccinated, the ones who are eligible. I'm vaccinated. My kids have medical exemptions from the mask. So I'm not here for my kids. I'm here for all the kids who don't have access to medical care. Follow the.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Mr. Ferger, and then we'll start on our next 5. Jason Miller, Corinne Perez, Mark Lutho, Damaris Bridges, and then Amberlyn Rhodes. And good afternoon, Mr. Ferger.
Good afternoon. Whoa, sorry. My name is Jason Ferger. I'm a stakeholder. Out of context, accusatory, filled with misinformation, not an appropriate response, chastising, inflammatory, toxic, trivialized, masculine attacks, unhinged, doxing, mean abuse, immaturity, demeaning, weak, racist, mansplaining. I even had to look that one up. And the best word of all that she uses is sexist. Prejudice, discrimination based on sex. You love to throw that word around like a little kid throwing rocks in the water. Brings joy to you, doesn't it? I don't like your policies. I don't agree with your politics. And I've seen almost nothing of how you made any accomplishment here. You've only fostered a hostile work environment. You've created a divide and mistrust amongst with your accusatory words. And I found if someone disagrees and presents facts contrary to yours, your defense mechanism is just to accuse them of being sexist. Just because my thoughts and values don't fit your narrative doesn't mean you have to make it into personal attacks. Aren't we all here for the betterment of the children in the districts, not what's best for ourselves? I've communicated with every single board member here sitting up there, my disagreement or my support for this or that, and not one time has it been because of any of your genders. The only person who makes it about gender, we all know who it is. All the people who don't agree with you, it's not because you're a woman, it's because we simply can see what you do, how you react to those you happen to dislike or disagree with. People see you're hostile, downright nasty. What kind of role model are you? Does it help the students in this district to see you always use the gender card when disagreeing with people? Addressing that letter is an example of an emergency. The letter I just handed out to everybody. That is an example of an emergency. You are the county's largest employer. You have a severe risk and liability on your hands with somebody that is in charge. Lawsuits? I mean, that's a risk and a liability, a very severe one, and that's an example of an emergency. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferger. And we're going to start on our next 5 individuals. Mr. Miller, Ms. Perez, Mr. Clutho, Ms. Bridges, and Ms. Rhodes. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. All right, my name is Jason Miller. I have 2 daughters in the Hillsborough County school system. Why is it that in order for my child not to wear a mask, she has to provide a doctor's note and documentation to prove she has a medical reason, but no proof is required for the positive COVID cases reported by parents? I've called and verified this with the East Bay High School, the school district COVID team. They all said they do not verify. This matters because I've seen people posting that they would claim false cases to push up the numbers. I thought this was all about the science. I also contacted the health department twice and asked to confirm the cases just for East Bay High School, and they have not returned my calls. This has never been about the science, and these phone calls that I have made over the course of 3 days proves that. There are no studies that prove masks prevent the spread of COVID or that they do not harm people, but you want our children to wear masks for 7+ hours a day. And there are studies showing that masks can harm people, especially healthy ones. One study shows that microplastic debris shed from disposable and cloth masks are toxic, get inhaled, and cause throat, respiratory tract, and other health issues. Germany is recording data over 24 health issues in children from wearing masks. The University of Florida did tests, some masks worn by students all day, and found several viruses and bacteria in the masks. If any of you vote to continue this mask mandate after I presented you with these facts, it will be clear that control is your agenda and no more. What happened to parental rights?
Thank you. We're going to hear from Ms. Perez next, and then Mr. Clutho. Good afternoon, Ms. Perez.
Good afternoon. Wonderful job of sanitation. I think I left this here like 3 weeks ago. But anyway, I just want to say when I was a kid, in the cartoons and all those other fun little things I used to watch, you notice how everyone who was a criminal used to wear a mask so you couldn't see their face? I think it's interesting. A lot of the stuff you're doing is criminal. You're locking your constituents out of these walls in the meetings with no reasoning. When we ask why, we get all different sorts of excuses like, oh, it's security. Well, when you treat your constituents like criminals, how do you expect them to act? I mean, you dictate the behavior. If they don't respect you and they feel like they're not being heard, maybe you're feeling fearful for those reasons, not for anything on their part. Then to say, oh, well, it's COVID restrictions and this, that, and the other, the story changes constantly. There's no consistency. I think what's consistently happening is that you just keep locking the people out. It's unfair. You haven't even set up a television for anyone to see. This is a public hearing. To tell people to just give them the middle finger and tell them to look up a link on their phone is not appropriate when they're already standing out there in the sweltering heat, some of them with their children. You know, they're paying for all of this. I know I had this discussion the last time I was here, but it doesn't seem to, it seems to be getting worse, not better. So I'm just saying, and I see you've added a few more cronies to your ranks with your mask little brigade here. So, you know, good on you, but the more you keep shutting the people out and not listening to them and giving them petty little privileges like getting felt up and, you know, patted down like criminals and then giving them 3 seconds to dwell on the air conditioning and telling them to take bathroom breaks and then kicking them out I don't see how you're going to ever regain the trust of the people or feel safe to let them in. I mean, this is a broken relationship that needs to be repaired. Seriously.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Clutho, then Ms. Bridges, and then Amberlin Rhodes. And good afternoon, Mr. Clutho.
Mark Clutho. Here's what Greta Thunberg said. Adults are failing us on climate. And the headline says, Earth's carbon dioxide levels at highest level in 4 million years. The headline says, a hotter future is now inevitable, a UN report says. Scientists find rapid shift from fossil fuels could avert greater perils. Only big steps will save Earth. Stark warnings for the warming planet. UN report spells out dire consequences of climate change. Huge change is needed to keep nature Earth okay, report says. Yesterday's St. Pete Times, they printed a cartoon from Clay Bennett. This is when the St. Pete Times went downhill, started going downhill when they fired Clay Bennett. And it has, you know that saying, picture's worth 1,000 words. Has the great vaccine debate. There are 2 lecterns there. And it has the doctor in a lab coat standing there for, and then against. And the against is an urn. That says it, doesn't it? You know, the ones that are dying are the ones that don't get the vaccine. It's so sad. All these people just come in here and argue with the science, and then they die. It's a doggone shame.
Thank you. Ms. Bridges, followed by Amberlin Rhodes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So I want to talk to you about a couple of things today. First, I want to talk to you about masks and the importance of having masks in school. First of all, science says it works. We learned it when they talked about the study in Georgia, where it said it had a 37% decrease. In our PTA meeting this morning, our assistant principal told us that quarantines have been down, students are doing better, and causative cases have been down. In addition, you will hear people assert that there are false negatives being reported to the district, so I did a public records request to confirm this. Last year, only 3 people reported to be positive and weren't. This year, 0. So that is just not true. This is where facts are fantastic. In addition, I helped to pave the way for you guys to have masks, right? This is why we brought the lawsuit. It is clear. The law is clear. This is legal for us to mandate masks when it is reasonable. So I want to encourage you to tie that to a metric. Don't pick an arbitrary date. Don't say that we'll have them forever. No one's interested in that. But tie it to a positivity rating to keep our kids, our staff, and our schools safe. In addition to that, we need staff in our schools to be able to work to teach our kids, right? We want the least disruptive environment as possible. Also, I know we have money issues. It's one of the reasons why I helped work on the referendum. It's one of the reasons why I helped to work to increase the education impact fee from the BOCC. But after working on the referendum, I'm really concerned that we're still seeing lots of classes that have 88-degree temperatures, 86-degree temperatures, and this is not good for our kids. This is not good for our teachers. And I think the board, if this doesn't stop, needs to come up with a policy that says if a classroom is too hot, it needs to close. I would not let my pets stay in a house that is 86 degrees. There is no reason our teachers and students should as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Ms. Rhodes, and then we'll go into the next 5, Monica Martinez, Deborah Setza, Laura Wheeler, Jamie Patterson, and then Jill Paradise. And hi.
Good afternoon. It's nice to see all of you again. I'm Amberlin Rhodes, and I'm here to advocate for a mask mandate extension for 30 days and also to advocate for ESSER III funding. As you guys are all aware, and as mentioned in your letter to the Florida Department of Education, COVID cases are down 23%, quarantines are down 15%. It works. Your mask mandate has worked. I ask you to vote today to do an extension for 30 days. I also want to thank you. I want to thank you for applying for the ESSER 2 funding. You know that we need the funding desperately. But I also want to ask you to keep putting the pressure on the state and the Florida Department of Education to apply for ESSER 3 funding. We desperately need it to keep our schools safe. We need it for fair pay for bus drivers, for custodians, for paras. We have a shortage of bus drivers and custodians right now. They deserve fair wages, just like everybody else on school staff. In summary, I ask you to please vote today, extend the mask mandate for 30 days, and let's keep the pressure up on the state for ESSER 3 funding. And I thank you for all you do. I know this is not an easy time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Monica Martinez, Deborah Sitzer, Laura Wheeler, and Monica Martinez. Come on up. And good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. I actually just found out about this, so I was not all that prepared with a speech. I wrote something down. I'm here to stop the mandate of the mask. I don't have a child in public school. I do have my kids in private school. We do have the right to choose. Sorry if I sound nervous. I suffer from anxiety. I wanted to ask you all a question. Were you all wearing masks between 2015 and 2018? Because at that time, there was a tuberculosis global outbreak, and 3 million people died between the years of 2017 and 2018. According to the WHO, 4,000 people died globally of it. That means that compared to now, if we use the CDC's logic, about 6% of people actually dying from COVID-19, we would have to eliminate 94% of the people. That would leave us with 277,000 people that have died between 2 years compared to 3 million is a big difference. I believe that we need our air, we need our natural resources to keep our children healthy. We're not here to ask for you not to mask your child like you're asking us to mask all of the children. We are here to have the right to choose for our children, that if we do not want to mask them, we shouldn't have to. Because at the end of the day, the laws are very vague. And if it's not open and ended, then where does it end? Does the vaccine come around and then we have to inoculate our children in order to make it into school? Something has to be done. And I believe we have the freedom to choose for our children. We know them better than anyone. Thank you.
You still have remaining time. Did you have any final thoughts?
I'm okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, let's go ahead, Deborah Setzer and Laura Wheeler will be following Deborah. And there you go. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, thank you. Thank you all so much for the mask mandate. You told the Department of Education that masks are working to reduce both the number of children with COVID and the number of children in quarantine. This board made a responsible decision to address an emergency. And there's still an emergency, so we need to extend the mask mandate and tie it to a metric. Children under 12 still cannot be vaccinated. Our hospitals are full. Florida hospitals have seen a 10-fold jump in kids hospitalized for COVID-19 since school began. The largest positivity rate by the latest state records in Florida is for children ages 12 to 19 at 21%, followed by 12-year-olds and under at 16.8%. Nobody in this room can provide better advice than the 67,000 pediatricians who are part of the AAP. We don't need to keep revisiting this decision. Our duty is just to listen to our local and national experts from the AAP and CDC and enforce a mask mandate until our community spread rate is below the CDC recommended metrics. I also wanted to point out that clear masks are available for lip reading for young children. Let's also use mitigation strategies such as enforcing the mask mandate, outdoor lunches where possible, vaccine incentives, and regular testing. Thank you so much for all you do at this difficult time to keep our children safe.
Thank you. Next, Ms. Wheeler, and then Ms. Patterson, and then Ms. Paradise. And good afternoon.
Hello. Hello, my name is Laura Wheeler. I am here as both a teacher and a parent,
And I am sure you've heard it said many times that most of us do not envy the board. You have each attempted to represent all stakeholders and to please the majority over the last year and a half. I would like to restate that time frame to everyone. 1.5 years. Wow. The fact is that COVID has been affecting our actions for a while. We've gone through a state shutdown with curfews, non-essential businesses closed, and mask mandates. But afterward, COVID was still present. More recently, vaccines became available. However, these are not fully effective, and COVID is not only still present, but continues to develop new strains. Because this is out of our control, we need to consider what a realistic long-term plan is. Is it realistic to continue with mask mandates when masks aren't required outside of schools? Is it realistic to continue quarantining students up to 10 days at a time, resulting in a loss of instruction? The recent 30-day mandate is short-sighted, with no evident long-term plan. I would like to call on both the board and the public to consider what is realistic for our students and their education. It's time to stop hyper-focusing on the mask argument and to begin focusing on controllable issues that affect students, such as school cafeterias currently without air conditioning, inconsistent internet connections across the district, roof leaks, vacancies that are detrimental to students who literally don't have a certified teacher, better programs for students receiving ESE services, etc. My plea to the board is again to please consider what is realistic after a full year and a half of attempting to deal with an issue out of our control. Please refocus on the controllable issue of meeting the educational needs of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Patterson, and followed by Jill Paradise. And good afternoon.
Okay. Just a reminder of what the science is, that COVID affects 0.003% of our children. It's less than the flu, yet we never masked our children before. You say it's worth saving one child, that every child life matters. But what's next? Are you going to ban bikes because there's a chance somebody could get hit by a car on the way to school? Are you going to ban our high school students from driving their cars to school? Are you going to ban sports because there's a chance that there could be a concussion? We cannot live like this. There's always a risk involved in life. That's part of living. But I choose to live. I choose to let my children live. I choose to put some risk in their life because the benefits outweigh those risks. There has to be a point when enough is enough. Your number one priority should be educating our children, not discussing week after week about masks. Our children are failing. Their education is failing. And that's because of you. I hate to say that, but the priorities are mixed up. The priorities need to be about education, getting better teachers, getting more teachers, getting teachers that want to be in there, fixing the problems at the schools. These are the things that are important. Look around you. College football games, tens upon thousands of people are there. And they're loving it. And they're living. Concerts are back. People are back to living, and yet we're forcing our poor children, the least affected by this virus, masking them. I can't even understand a waiter when he tries to tell me the specials at night with his mask on. Now try learning geometry. Try learning a foreign language. It's impossible. You're failing education. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Ms. Collins, and then our next five, Laura Coulter, Andy Arenas, Jeffrey Arenas, Jacqueline Muir, and then Jason Kimball. And I'm going to now switch to versus good afternoon. We're going to say good evening. Come on up.
Actually, my name is Jill Paradise.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was one up, so I apologize.
That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a child in the Hillsborough County Public School. I had two at one point. I spoke last time, and I don't know if it's ironic that I went after that woman, but masks clearly save lives. When she said, 0.3%, well, if it was her child that had actually gotten sick and passed away, maybe she'd feel differently. Clearly, masks save lives. I just want to continue to, I don't need the whole 2 minutes to tell you, please keep the mask mandate for the safety of our children. Please keep it. Thank you.
Thank you. And followed by Jennifer Collins. And good evening.
Hello, thank you. First of all, thank you for what you did last month, making the right decision for the safety of the students, teachers, and the community at large. Schools not enforcing the mask mandate, instead keeping kids not complying with the mask mandate in the schools rather than sending them home, is putting students and teachers at risk. Teachers have told me that they're having trouble teaching because they're in fear. Several discussing time off or leaving as they feel unsafe. What chaos that would cause. Today, I'm calling on you to put a motion on the table for a mask mandate tied to a specific metric, such as a 5% positivity rate for 2 consecutive weeks, as COVID will not be significantly better in 30 days. This would prevent the chaos and anxiety having to revisit this discussion so soon, and put people's safety and lives as a priority over a minority who defy the mask mandate. Let's not allow one bully to influence decisions which contradict science. We need to be supporting the schools. School choice means we should be able to send our kids to a safe environment without fear that they will get COVID and die. Enforce the mask mandate today, with medical exemptions only from the proper sort of medical doctors. Finally, put pressure on who is withholding ESSER funds, which can be used for COVID preventative measures and other good things for the schools. This today, again, is your defining moment. Thank you for considering that motion.
Whoops. Thank you very much. Next, we'll hear from Laura Coulter, and then Andy Arenas, and Jeffrey Arenas. And good evening.
Hi. I think it's really fascinating listening to these people who say science and provide zero science. I just want to put that out there. I could stand up here and give you tons and tons of science that demonstrate the futility of the ever-changing strategies for a virus that has over 99% survival rate. Clearly no one listens to the science, but the fact is that mandates, laws, policies are not based on science but on rights. You are violating our constitutionally protected rights. Health is a personal responsibility, not the responsibility of schools, stores, others, or public places. Harming my health by covering my face actually does not improve your health. And if you are immune compromised, the only thing you can do is improve your health status, because harming my health will not change that fact, okay? If you're afraid, wear a mask. That's what the thing says, mask optional. According to the CDC itself, in a written response to a FOIA request, the CDC is not aware of any randomized controlled trial that shows that masks or double masks or cloth face coverings are effective against COVID-19. The doctors and medical experts from Tampa General who have testified that masks work have then perjured themselves, and they have provided zero evidence. Science actually shows that masks are harmful on a multitude of levels, and therefore you are guilty of child abuse. We know what this is really about: power, greed, and ultimately control. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a student, Andy Arenas. Come on up. And thank you for coming, and you have much courage, so please begin.
Hi, my name's Andy Arenas. I'm an 8th grader, and I go to school at Navigator Academy. I consider myself very lucky to live and have citizenship in the United States. Why? Because we're free and because we have rights. And no one can take that away from me, my family, and no other true patriot. Y'all telling me what I can and cannot put on my face without my parents nor my own consent makes me very frustrated, because not only did Governor DeSantis make an executive order stating you could not do that, you did it anyway. And now you want us to follow your rules. Seems a bit hypocritical if you ask me. I believe if you want to wear a mask, wear one. I should not have a say in what you should and should not do, and vice versa. That being said, you should also do your own research instead of listening to the media all the time. I get that the pandemic happened. I get that it changed a lot of stuff. I get that it hurt families and it scared a lot of people. But that does not give you a right to take away my rights. It doesn't matter how much you take or how less you take. It is my body. It is my choice. Stop trying to control us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I believe this will be the father, Mr. Arenas, and then followed by Jacqueline Muir. And good evening.
Thank you. 2 weeks ago, my son spoke in front of you. Today, my daughter. I cannot tell you how proud I am of them. I want to raise the next leaders who will not yield, the next warriors who will not bend for our rights. So far, I think I'm doing a pretty good job on that. Thank you. Man, the paranoia's got to stop. The science is horrible. It's confusing, and we're all fighting amongst ourselves. Even outside, waiting to come in, people are arguing. Freedom is eroding on this planet in paranoia. I'm not saying that we can't be safe, that we can't take care of ourselves and our children. Stop the division, really. Just give us our own choice. And let's go back to life before the 2 years of paranoia started. Because that's how long this has been going on. Are you not sick of it? I am. I'm tired of being divided. I'm tired of people telling me what I can and can't do, or my friends what they can and can't do, what they have to do to get a job, to stay in a job. Man, this is ridiculous. Be a leader who will not yield. Be a warrior who will not bend. I said it last time, and I'll say it again. Our choices have impact. And I don't think anybody's looking down the horizon to figure out what that impact is. It's really simple. All you got to do is go look at what's happening in other democratic countries. The free world is dying.
Thank you. Ms. Murrell, and then we'll have our next 5 speakers, Jason Kimball, Sarah Edwards, Megan Collins, Allison Fernandez, and Ruth Nullard. And good evening.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Muir, and I really didn't write anything because I came on a whim. I own an after-school program that serves Hillsborough County schools, and yesterday 12 kids were quarantined because one student tested positive. The policies are affecting small business. I'm licensed for 105 students. Since the pandemic began, I've been operating at a 43% loss. I have to pay my bills. I'm in the private sector. PPP saved us. PPP in a prayer. It saved my small business that serves the community that I grew up in. I went to Hillsborough County Schools, from Citrus Park to Gaither. I graduated from USF with a bachelor's in early childhood education. Started working for Kelly Services. I then went on to work for Hillsborough County Schools. I now own my own business that serves Hillsborough County Schools. And I have to say that I think I understand this at a level that is beyond the mask. Our spending, our frustrated teachers, my friends that are leaving. I left because I don't say yes very easy. I don't say yes when you tell me what to do, and I know it's not in the best interest of the children. I will not teach the same thing on the same day in Plant City as I would in West Chase. It goes beyond this mask. There's so many better ways to do things. And I've asked my husband, should I run? Should I sit in one of those chairs? But I feel sorry for you right now because you're faced with challenges that you don't have solutions for. So we're fighting. And the policies are affecting everyone. Those 12 families that didn't go to work because their kids are now in quarantine. My bottom line, my employees that got cut because of quarantine. So if we're going to wear them, change the quarantine procedure. Like, let's just not fight about this. Let's say, okay, they were masked, and guess what? They were only on my bus for 16 minutes. 16 minutes in a mask in Florida heat, even with air conditioning, and they still had to quarantine. That's a policy you really need to revisit.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Jason Kimball. Welcome.
We can wait for the chair to return.
She can hear you in the back. There's a speaker.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I just want to say that, hey, Chair, great. I want to say that first, I think that it's terrible that people are not allowed into the boardroom. I think that you guys are following the model of the county commission. People should be allowed into the boardroom. There's press that's not allowed in here, and there's people that aren't allowed in here to support those who are speaking, number one. Number two, I don't know why it's so difficult to require a scientific standard. I've heard the presentation that's been made to the school board. The same people are presenting in front of the county commission. And when they're asked a direct question, like Chairwoman Gray asked, like, so, hey, we're going to institute masks and then we're going to notice a decrease, right? They're like, well, no. And they're getting the same answers at the county commission. They're saying, well, it's hard to pinpoint one particular measure and the effectiveness of one particular measure. They don't have any published randomized controlled trials. They can't get masks approved as medical devices. All the subjective evidence, in my opinion, is against them. They'll be able to say, well, we have subjective evidence that supports our view. It's like, okay, but the evidence that's required to really evaluate something, the objective evidence, is not there. They're also withholding data. We're not getting fatality rate numbers. We're not getting invasive ventilation rate numbers. We're not getting severe COVID case rate numbers. I just think that with all of the absent evidence, that the board just has to not impose another 60-day mandate. I really hope that you guys find the courage to just say, look, if anything, keep the mandate, but allow the exemption process to return, please. And about the vaccines, I just want to say we're not allowed to have a protein-based vaccine. Novavax, based in the U.S., has been trying to get approval for ever since the beginning of this year. So I want everybody to remember, no one has the option for a protein-based vaccine, only mRNA vaccines. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And we're going to go ahead, come on up. We'll see, next will be Sarah Edwards. And good evening, Sarah.
Hi. Thank you for the opportunity to speak up for my two students who are in the Hillsborough County School District and also too young to be vaccinated. Today we'll hit a shocking milestone here in our county. The number of students and staff who've tested positive for COVID-19 has reached nearly 9,000 people in just 6 weeks, which is just as many infections as we saw in the schools over the course of the prior 14 months of the pandemic. Clearly with Delta, we cannot act like this is the same as last year. And unfortunately, we aren't acting like it's last year. We're acting kind of like it's 2019. And I really am here today to say I'm very, very grateful for those of you who voted to implement the mask mandate. I urge you to renew this mandate and to keep it in effect until all children can have the opportunity to be fully vaccinated. But in my opinion, we must do much more. We also need to urgently implement more COVID mitigation, which should include a vaccine mandate for all staff. All schools should be directed to hold lunch outdoors. During inclement weather, children should eat separately in classrooms in their cohorts or in large, well-ventilated spaces. Children could be tested weekly. All classrooms should have portable air cleaners in addition to properly functioning HVAC systems with MERV filters. We have had quite a few in my school. Personally, we've had 3 days so far this school year where the air conditioning has not been working. And I know in many other schools it's been much worse. The ventilation through the portable air cleaners is a cheap and easy way to reduce airborne virus and make classrooms and other indoor spaces safer. We need a more transparent quarantine system that alerts parents to positive cases in their grade level because we know those children are mixing in the lunchroom, at recess, and in other places. And quarantining of siblings of positive cases does need to be enforced. Schools also need more resources to contact trace and do in-school mitigation.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Megan Collins, followed by Allison Fernandez. And good evening, Ms. Collins.
Good evening. First off, I'd like to thank Dr. Hahn and Ms. Snively for choosing not to break the law at the last meeting. I just looked at your Hillsborough County School COVID dashboard. In case you're wondering if your mask mandate works, it doesn't. Let's go over some data, since you guys seem to really like that. Mandatory masks started on August 19th. 5 days later, we had the most reported cases yet, with 601 cases. 12 days later, on August 30th, we had 497 cases. followed by 359 on August 31st and 342 on September 1st. 20 days after mask mandates started, we had 457 cases on September 7th. Please, for the love of God, tell me why. Why, if these masks work so well, why do we still have such high numbers? Our kids go to parties, play dates, they play sports, all without masks. I can take my son to Universal Studios with God knows how many people, thousands, and we don't have to wear a mask. He doesn't, I don't, no one does. Yet you're telling me my 7-year-old can't sit in a first grade classroom with 17 other kids without wearing a mask? Like what? I don't, that's mind blowing. Like how does that not, I don't get it. And I think a lot of us don't get it. I also would like to know why kids in Ireland, England, and many other countries, they're not wearing masks right now. We don't want a mask mandate. You are not parenting our children. We are the parent. Please let us make choices for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Followed now by Allison Fernandez and then Ruth Nolan. And good evening.
Good evening, Board. First, I would like to say that I don't understand the science that you all are basing your decision on, but that being said, I do want to know, what are you doing about applying the protocol for quarantine and test reporting? So schools are they're all reporting separately. You've got secretaries and data processors who are your COVID chair. None of them have health experience. I know of 2 separate incidences at 2 separate schools where 2 separate students who don't know each other were both diagnosed with other illnesses, doctor diagnosed, one RSV, one just a regular virus, but their respective schools both treated them as COVID, forced them to stay out for the duration. Even when the pediatricians said they were safe to go back to school, everybody was notified and had to quarantine. This is completely inaccurate and is actually driving up the numbers. And for those parents who are afraid, and I understand why they're afraid, the news media, the mainstream media, just will not present both sides of any issue that can be really discussed in depth. So there are also parents calling in bogus tests specifically to drive the number up because they want to keep, I only know 2 people that did this, but again, if I know them, there must be more. They want to keep the numbers higher. Why aren't you verifying positive tests through the health department? So, there are some things that you all need to do. How are we trusting that the decisions you're making, which a lot of us believe are not based in science and fact anyway, if you're not using reasonable protocol and decision making? So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Ruth Nolan and followed by Shannon Durant. And good evening, Ms. Nolan.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, and Superintendent Davis. I'm here to talk about Native American mascots. In 2005, the NCAA asked its member colleges and universities to self-evaluate their mascot and team names in accordance with the organization's policy that its member schools compete with an atmosphere of respect and sensitivity to the dignity of every person. That should resonate with you. According to your website, in 2017, Hillsborough County Public Schools made a historic move to adopting a district-wide racial and equity policy. The district began the steps to address Native American mascots and was well on its way. Then the momentum stopped, which I believe is short-sighted. I believe that Hillsborough County would be better served if its process was allowed to move forward. It's time you were reminded that inclusivity and equity does not take away, it adds. If you have a room full of candles and only 1/4 of them are lit, and those candles then light another 1/4 of the room, you are now twice as bright and nobody else's flame has diminished. When you allow diversity, equity, and inclusion to lead this district, it is stronger, more knowledgeable, and able to truly address those things that keep others back. When What you are feeding by not addressing this fear is confusion, division, and ignorance. Please, it is time that you allow this discussion to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Shannon Durant, and that will conclude our public comments. And good evening, Ms. Durant.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, superintendent. My name is Shannon Durant. I'm the Title VI Parent Chair. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you today, since we are not having any town hall meetings due to COVID, but we're still having football games. Nothing else that, to my knowledge, has been canceled. I don't understand why. I would like to address the East Bay alumni at this point. I could stand here and tell you tons of facts about how bad it is to have Native American mascots, but I choose not to do that. I keep hearing two things over and over. First, we are playing the racist card. Yes, we're playing the racist card. We're Native American. That's a race. Second, that you, East Bay, think that you're honoring us, the Native Americans, by having a mascot. Well, if that's the case, we're done. East Bay opened in 1957, so for 64 years, the Indians have been the East Bay mascot. Well, the average age for retirement is 64. We're ready for retirement. And since it's such an honor to be a mascot, another race can take over to be the mascot at East Bay. Go East Bay Caucasians.
Thank you. This concludes our public comment. Next, we'll have a public hearing on the millage rates. Ms. Johnson, you'll be up next. We'll have that on the millage rates and the budget for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. Adopt the 2021-2022 budget as presented. Adopt the final 2021-2022 millage rates as presented. Approve the resolution adopting the final millage rates and budget. And last, authorize staff to perform all tasks to ensure compliance with Florida statutes 200.065, truth and millage, trim. Ms. Johnson, will you highlight this order, this item? Thank you.
Yes, first we'll be doing the...
Hold on just a second. I have to close the, let me close the school board meeting and open the first final public hearing for the millage rates and budget for fiscal year. Go ahead, initiate.
Good evening, board members. I will be presenting the final presentation on the millage rate and adopted budget for fiscal year 21-22. The Truth in Millage Law was enacted in 1980, but that requires Florida statutes under Section 200 that the school district to advertise proposed millage rates and budget annually. The required local rate is 3.6010. Discretionary millage is 0.7480, and the capital outlay millage is 1.50. The law also requires that the board adopt a balanced budget each year for all funds. It also defines the process and the timeline of adoption. It is required that the board adopt 2 public hearings on the millage rate and the proposed budget. It also is legislated to inform the public. The Florida Department of Education set the millage rates, and the local school board must levy to participate in the Florida Education Financial Program. And these numbers are based on second calculations. The major budget impact that imposed in this adopted budget are followed. The general impact, the fund balance calculation, we're going to be reviewing the fund balance calculation with the board members to show how we calculate the fund balance by moving eligible expenditure to ESSER 1 and ESSER 2. The revenue impact, the state sources decreased from the last year from 31.8 million. Local sources increased 50.1 million. And federal source decreased by 1.6 million, or overall total impact on this budget of 16.7 million increase in revenue. The expenditures impact is FRS rate went up by 1.53%, but it equals 9.5 million. Healthcare costs increased by 1.97%. a total increase of 1.8 million. Utility costs increased approximately 13 to 17 million, over 6 million impacted by that increase. When we initially brought the budget to you guys in May, we were projecting ending the fund balance around 32 million. But we had an increase in revenue over projection of 8 million in the property tax revenue and the fee-based revenue also. We had a decrease in expenditure over projection in capital expenditures and supplies, giving us the actual fund balance at fiscal year end close June 30th, 2021 of 47 million. Then we enacted a fiscal recovery plan that we were proposed to the state that we move eligible expenditures to certain grants over a total fiscal impact of 38.9 million, giving us a fund balance of 86.4 million. After the fiscal recovery plan was enacted, we had a 100 million lump sum that we had to spend by September the 4th. So we also include other eligible expenditure to ESSER 2. That impact, total fiscal impact was $61 million moved to fund balance. So they gave us an actual fund balance of $147.5 million, which is 9.5% of our fund, our overall revenue allocated to the district. So from this slide, you can see the fund balance of the last 10 years, and as you can see, we started in 2012 fiscal year at 298 million fund balance. Then as we go on in the years, 2021, we ending this year at 147.5, which would have been 32 million if we didn't move eligible expenditures to ESSER 1 and ESSER 2. This is the general fund. We're going to go to the general fund without charter school, because charter school is revenue, is a pass-through through the district. So as you can see, our total revenue is $1.5 billion, and our total expenditure in this budget is proposed at $1.6 billion, giving us a deficit of $61.4 million. And you might ask the question, how are we going to close this gap in this deficit? We are building long-term strategic plans to address this overall deficit, and we're monitoring expenditures and supplies, travel, in every capacity and also we're going to use ESSER money to plug the fund balance that give us more time once we receive that money. So you're going to be actually approving that when we come down. So we're projecting an ending fund balance of June 30th, 2022 of 86.1 million, which is 5.5%. These are cash flow projections. I know it's hard to see, but I'm showing you this to show that we do, every month we do actuals, and then we do projections for the whole fiscal year, and then we're not going out of 10 for this fiscal year. And this shows you how the fund balance, at the beginning of the year, we start off with a healthy fund balance, and as time expenditures hit, we don't get our revenue till November and December, our total local revenue. Then we go back up in fund balance, and then we don't get that resource again. So the fund balance, those expenditures are still higher than what we actually bring in, so we're eating into our fund balance. So at the end, we're projecting to end at 89 million in our fund balance. So this gives you our overall actuals. We were to close at 47.4 million as the first column, showing our actuals prior to the strategies we used to close the gap for moving eligible expenditure to ESSER 1 and ESSER 2. So now we're at actual after the strategies, giving us a fund balance of 147.5 million, which is 9.5% fund balance. But we also projected out. If we don't get ESSER funding and we keep on spending as we are currently and make no cuts in the system or fix the operational deficit, you can see over in time in 2022, we're projecting we'll be at 86.1, 5.5%. In 2023, 13.7 million fund balance, which is 1%. 2024, we're projecting to be at a negative 58.7 million, which is 3.7% negative, and 131 million in 2025, which is 8.4% negative. This is the overall of all funds that we're adopting. I know it's hard to see, but our total budget that we're asking to be adopted is $3,378,895,961. So at this time, I'm recommending the board adopt the state required local effort millage of 3.6010, the discretionary operating millage of 0.7480 mils, the local capital improvement millage rate of 1.50 mils, and the also recommended board adopt the debt service millage rate of 0.0 mils.
Board members, I need a motion and a second to adopt the fiscal year 2021-2022 millage rates as presented. I have a motion by Member Washington. I have a second by Member Combs. And at this point in time, is there anyone wish in the public to make a statement on the proposed millage rates? Mr. Clutho, are you going to come and make a statement on this particular part of the millage rates? Okay. And Mr. Clutho, you are recognized.
Mark Clutho, Largo. Well, I don't know what all that was about when you're talking about the millage rates. Presenting the budget, but the budget should be first before you do the millage. But the law is the law, and people are paying more because the values of property have been going up. So what they're paying in reality is also going up. So the reality is people are paying too much because the money here is being squandered. I was told by a fool before the meeting that you had a workshop, and it was said by the school board that your buildings weren't energy efficient, and that, I don't know, maybe you were going to fix that problem. And as I said to him, well, 30 years now I've been saying that you weren't doing it right. He wanted to give me the minutes of this workshop. I told him I don't need to see that. But as I said, the millage rate is, as I have said at every budget hearing I have attended, is a ripoff. That's the bottom line. More to come when we get to the budget hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Clutho. Member Vaughn, it looks like you would like to speak. Now, this is on only part one. Member Vaughn, you're recognized.
I can wait till the next part and save my comments for that as well.
Okay, there's approximately 4 parts. But at any rate, just let us know. Thank you. Go ahead.
Actually, do you mind if I do ask a question? I just want to clarify some information.
Okay, go right ahead.
Thank you. So, Ms. Johnson, I just want to make exceedingly clear for the public with the information that you just presented that currently we're on track without the ESSERS money. Sorry, I'm hearing a big echo, so I'm trying to turn that down. Without the ESSERS money to by 2023 start to be in a deficit, and as you projected by 2024 be in a 3.7% negative deficit. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so I know that we're going to talk about probably in the next ones, and when we get to the other pieces, mitigation strategies. But with things staying exactly the way they are now, and without the ESSER funds, based on the slides that you just projected, we would be facing receivership and unable to, and going into a deficit, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify to build that upon. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. And we're going to go ahead to step 2, and we're going to vote first. Oh, I'm so sorry. Member Perez?
So receivership would be, if we didn't have the ESSER funds, receivership would be when?
It will be in 2023.
Okay, so.
Fiscal year 2023 ending.
All right. And you mentioned that the operational system needed to be fixed. Why hasn't the operational system been fixed to date?
Well, there's nothing wrong with the system. We're trying to interface, make sure the system are interfaced together, and we're putting controls in the system. The necessary controls are not in our system yet to mitigate any overages, expenditures in the area of personnel service.
Are you completed? Okay. Board members, please go ahead and vote when your lights are on. And Member Vaughn? Okay, thank you, board members. It's unanimous. Next, is there, well, we're going to go ahead. Is there anyone present who wishes to address the board concerning the proposed millage rates? Any public comments?
We're moving on to, I think, part 2 is Ms. Johnson's
okay.
budget.
Okay, I apologize. Ms. Johnson, it is recommended that the board adopt the
It's recommended that the board adopt the fiscal year 21-22 budget of $3,378,805,961.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion. I have a motion by Member Hahn and a second by Member Combs. At this time, any public comments? And I will say we have 2 individuals. Thank you.
Good evening, Board. I want to talk a little bit about the budget process. You have approximately 89 to 90% of your general fund budget is staff. And I understand that you have your administrative staff has worked very hard to try to rebalance the schools. But if you look at your student population of about 202,000 and staff of about 24,000, that's a ratio of 1 staff member to every 8 students. And that 24,000 in staff is including all of the staff that you have here, does not include charter school staff, but the 202,000 students include students who are in charter school. So you actually have, your ratio is actually worse. So you really cannot do effective touching classroom and making just great educational decisions with the money you have because you are spending too much here at the upper levels. And nobody wants to say, listen, you can't have a job, but something has to be done. This deficit didn't start today, last year. It didn't start because of COVID. This has been year after year after year of unbalanced staff. So I'm going to ask you to get a really hard look at what you're doing administratively. Your staff should be involved with educating children, not here in a building pushing paper. You know, that should be the smallest part of your budget. We look at Goodwill or we look at Salvation Army, and those CFOs are criticized constantly about the salary they get. And they have to file reports that show how much of the dollar that gets donated to them gets used in their services. Well, I'm a taxpayer, I'm a parent, I'm expecting you all to show the same consideration to the public. So I want what's practical. I want what we can do in schools. You know, we've got these challenge transition schools. You can't make really big life-altering changes in the school if you don't reallocate how you're spending the money. And if you keep doing things the same way year after year, we get the same results year after year. So I would really like you all to take a very hard look at every single department that works downtown or in any administrative capacity and figure out what you have to have and get people out impacting children. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clutho?
Oh, I can see it's just going to be a, repeat of the first hearing. Instruction and Curriculum Development Services, $45 million. Instructional Staff Training Services, $34,300,000. Board, $3,300,000. School Administration, $112,000. Facilities Acquisition and Construction, $260,000. Oh man. Operation of Plan, $131,700,000, $131,700,000. Debt service, $83,900,000. Might as well call it $84 million. Yeah, as I said, that fool today that at the last hearing said you needed more money. Look at these figures here. And then he said at the workshop, you were saying that you weren't making energy efficient buildings. And how many years, decades have I been saying that? Well, you know what I say? Your time has expired. There isn't an excuse for your ineptitude. Here is this article about the buildings in New York where they're cutting the utility bills with retrofits of these old buildings by 80%. New buildings that you could do here could stand up to a Hurricane 5 and have virtually a zero utility bill. It's a straightforward proposition. Yet you ignore the science. This is malfeasance. You hear that, Mr. Lawyer? Malfeasance. The Earth's carbon dioxide levels highest in 4 million years.
Thank you, Mr. Clutho. Board members, we have an opportunity for a school board member to make a discussion or ask a question at this point in time. Member Perez.
I'm just curious, if we had not been living in a world of a pandemic and ESSER funds were not our life raft, what shape would this district be in financially today?
Yes, ma'am, to the chair. I will answer that, and Ms. Johnson can add as she needs to. Last year we didn't need but a little bit of ESSER funds, so we would have been in a good position related to being able to meet the thresholds. However, so much has been done for the last couple of years that with the forecastability, we're in a really tight position. So the good thing is that we do have ESSER to be able to move eligible expenditures, but we'll continue to work on mitigation strategies and look at every division. We've done that. We've had speakers talk about speaking at what we've done from the district level. I think it's we've cut so many positions at the district level as well. We will continue to look at that, and through attrition, we'll continue to save money every single day. But overall, we would, without ESSER funds going into this year and the following year, we'd be in a hard position. I will say this is that we cut the deficit. It was over $100 million a year. That we had. The expenditure versus the revenue gap, and we've moved it down to $60 million, and we'll continue to push that down where we get to a point where we're comfortable and that it will be systemic. But we're going to have to look at other revenue streams to be openly.
What worries me is that 2023 is only 2 years away. And for someone to say that we would be in a place of receivership in only a year and a half, 2 years, it's not a long time. I mean, we're going now into 2 years of being in a pandemic, and it just seemed like yesterday we started this whole trajectory into this pandemic. So do we have a plan? Because these ESSER funds, I get, but it just seems like it's a fight all the way to secure funding that belongs to this district. It just seems like, we asked for the funding, we're supposed to receive the funding, and we still have not received the funding. As a matter of fact, for is it the ESSER 3 funding that it hasn't even been, the application hasn't even been completed, right?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I had a conversation with the Department of Education end of last week, and through that conversation, in the beginning of this week, I informed them that I drafted a letter. Through our Government Affairs, we drafted a letter to be able to send to ask for our APR ESSER $3. And I said, listen here, I can send this letter, or you can just tell me when the timeline is related to when we will be able to receive this money. And as I sent to the board earlier this week, the money is forecasted to be to us by mid-October at the worst case scenario. So in that process, you'll start to see the awards come into our school district immediately. As we get that award, I'm sure there's going to be certain assurances that we have to agree to, and maybe categoricals of how that money will be spent. We'll sign that immediately, send that back to the Department of Education, and then wait for that award to take place. But, through the conversation with the Chancellor and also Suzanne Pridgeon, the CFO for the Department of Education, really stressed the fact that, we really genuinely need that money to be able to help put resources into our schools and address some of our equity issues that may exist. So the good news is it's in a good spot. Now, I would say to our continuing constituents, continue to keep the full court press on, because then actually until I receive it in writing, it's word. I trust them in that process, but we want to be able to make sure that we receive it in an immediate manner.
We need to keep that voice like Horton hears the Who, for this funding to come to us, because this receivership it's a serious matter, and this district has been fighting, and there's still a lot of work that needs to be done here in this district, and I appreciate your tenacity with when it comes to this funding and securing this funding, and our constituency as well, to continue lighting a fire, to be able to secure this funding. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Perez. Member Vaughn, followed by Member Combs, and then we'll continue with millage discussion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Superintendent Davis, I didn't hear an answer to Member Perez's question of whether or not we actually have a plan outside of the ESSER's money to mitigate this. And I think some of the other follow-up questions I want to ask are in regards to how many cuts we made that last year, what that looked like financially, how much attrition we have, because I know that part of the answer of the plan is, hoping that attrition and some restructuring will help get us where we want to be. But I guess the first question is there a specific plan minus the ESSER funds to avoid the projected forecast as is that will make it or meet it without drastic cuts?
Yes, ma'am, through the chair. We are working to finalize that plan right now with Mrs. Johnson and her team. From our side of it, we'll still have the same mitigation strategies that we had last year implemented. I will say that we did cut over 1,000 positions last year. I'm not saying people that are positions. That brought us over $40+ million back to our school district that would be able to help us at the end of this year. And then also through a number of positions through attrition that we did at the district level. There was over 150 positions that we did not fill throughout last year at the district level that we'll continue to make certain that we keep our eye on. Attrition will take care of a lot. However, we'll still have to make certain that we're looking at every dollar and every cent, and we are maximizing all of our federal dollars. We're doing a really good job through maximizing our federal dollars and categoricals through Mr. Connor's shop, through Mrs. Brown's shop, through Monica Vera Tirado's shop. So all of those to be able to maximize every opportunity that we can. And so once the final plan is ready and presented to the board to show the systemic change, we'll be able to put it in front of you. But openly, it's going to take us eventually finding additional revenues. We worked hard last year not to be able to leverage or have to use federal dollars at scale. But once those dollars are expended and exhausted in 2023, we've got to have a plan to be able to help us. It's unfortunate we continue to have to address this, but as we saw last year, when we presented the what we actually generated to what we actually expended, and that over $100 million deficit in that gap, we've done a really nice job chipping away. And along that side, it's created angst, and so we're just trying to get away from that. And as we spoke about the other day, when you look at our staff allocation models, which are the bare minimum at each one of our schools that are driven by the actual FTE student's body and looking at class size, we're a part where we just aren't able to cut at our school levels anymore. We have to now. We are able to look at the number of students that are enrolled in each school to determine what they need to be able to meet class size or what they do not generate. But we're in that process right now in the next week and a half, and the pool starts on September the 13th to be able to make sure that we have these balanced classrooms. But we can no longer go to the school and cut positions. We can't cut support staff. We cannot cut teachers. We cannot cut administrators. And they are working tirelessly every single day. So just know that. And we'll continue to look at the district level every single day.
And then, so from what I'm hearing is we cut or we lost close to 1,200 employees last year, and that gave us somewhere between 40 and 60 million. How many employees without any other strategies? I know we have other strategies on the table, so it's not an accurate number, but without those other strategies, through attrition, how many employees would we have to lose, which we still don't replace? We may not be cutting those units, but those are still losses in our schools. How many employees would we have to lose in order for it to total up to the $60 million deficit that we might be running without the ESSER funds?
Yes, ma'am. I have to get back to you. There's a blitz of being able to look at the number historically and what we're doing now of support staff, looking at historical transitions through administrative staff, through teaching staff, and then take that holistic number and determine what we're able to get to. So when you look at an average teacher salary, when we do for budgeting purposes, it's $70,000+, and there's just different layers for administrators at the same time support staff that we're able to look at a formula coupled with where we actually are in a 3 to 5 year trend through attrition.
And then I know that you answered Member Perez's questions about ESSERS 2, but I think where I need clarification is I'm getting reports that on ESSERS 3, the state has not applied for that, and that was our largest amount of money. So when you say the money that we're expected to get in October, is that for ESSERS 2 only, or is that in combination from ESSERS 3? Because the news reports are the state hasn't even applied for that money, so we're not in queue to get that.
Yes, ma'am. So my conversation with the Florida Department of Education is by mid-October, we will start having accessibility to our ESSER $3. I'm going to let Kristen Davis kind of, talk through that a little bit and see where we are with Department of Education's application.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair, board members. So regarding ESSER 3, we've received, the state of Florida has received 2/3 of that money. So that was that was passed into law in April. Shortly after, the state of Florida received 2/3 of ESSER 3. The remaining 1/3, it will be released to the state, any state, upon approval of receiving and approval of a state plan. And so as you've probably heard, 45 states, including the District of Columbia, have submitted their state plans. And so then therefore they've received the remaining 1/3. That was due June 7th, and the state of Florida has not submitted the plan for the remaining. So again, they have, for ESSER 3, the state of Florida has 2/3 of the ESSER 3.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarity.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. And just pointing to all the remarks, inclusive is Member Perez, we are having a workshop, and it's titled The Other Revenue Sources. And that will include, in October, it will include such things as upping the millage rate. Those are questions that will be asked by board members, and the answers will be prepared by Superintendent Davis and his staff. I am not comfortable with doing a millage report here and then budget. It's getting me very confused, but I'm being patient. I'd rather us get done with the millage, and then if we're going to talk about the budget, then we talk about the budget. It's getting very confusing. So board members, with that in mind, with the future workshop to address those very important questions, please know that that's going to happen in about 3 weeks. Member Combs, and then Member Hahn, and then I would like to get completed the millage, which is what we should be doing.
I'll go ahead and wait so that way we can complete the millage so I can.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it because otherwise it's going to get meshed. Member Hahn?
My questions are on the budget, so if you want me to wait till we get to that.
Let's get through with this, and then if we have budgetary questions, that's when we ask that. And so let's vote when you're like.
Some clarification. This is very confusing. We're going through a lot of
We are approving the budget right now, though.
Yeah, so what's happened so far is I'm going to go through the board approved the millage rates as recommended by Ms. Johnson. Now the board is discussing adopt the fiscal year budget of $3.3 billion, basically. So
this would be the time to ask
this would be
for
the time for budget, and then you have a couple more things to do. But we've done the millage, and now we're sort of into the budget. So if you have budget questions, that's probably the time to get it out.
And that's fine, but previously we just did the millage, so we're putting both together, and to me it's very confusing. But Member Hahn, please go ahead. Do you want to speak?
I'll defer to Member Combs.
Okay. Member Combs, this is, again, the budget, I guess.
Okay, well, I guess I have some short-term and long-term plans or questions, and I really appreciate Member Perez and Member Vaughn for so many of the comments they made. I mean, I guess my biggest concern is when you look at the cost of living in Tampa, and Tampa right now being the number 2 rental increase in the country, and we see that we're 46 funding. I just worry about the sustainability of when we are really short of bus workers and nutrition and people that we continually are not able to pay and increase salaries when you have, Steak and Shake or Adventure Island paying more than we're paying. I mean, what's the sustainability of that? And I just wonder what we can do short-term and long-term, a short-term goal and a long-term goal to really deal with this issue in the state. I mean, I think the biggest thing is I don't really believe that the average individual who attends public school, the parents realize how fiscally underfunded the state of Florida is. So I just wonder, what are we looking at as far as short-term goals to educate and long-term goals? Because it seems to me like ESSER is just a Band-Aid, and we're going to continue every year to deal with this. And when Mr. Clutho came up here and talked about New York, I thought, you know, their funding is almost triple of what we receive. So a lot of that, you know, the other day I had somebody call me and they told me about how there was social distancing in Pennsylvania, what lunches happen, all of these things. And I basically had to say, well, really a lot of the issues or a lot of the, you know, solutions that people give all are tied to funding. So what can we do short term and long term? I mean, is it, you know, combining with a lot of districts? Is it a lawsuit for the districts against the state? I mean, do we have to go that far? I mean, what do we need to do to really advocate for children? Because I feel like in the next 10 years, Florida is going to look like a third world country. And that is what's going to happen. So I just wonder what that looks like and what we can do short term and long term for that.
Thank you, Member Combs. Member Hahn, followed by Member Vaughn.
Yes, ma'am, that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Superintendent Davis.
Yes, ma'am. Through the chair. Sorry, Dr. Hahn. So, Ms. Combs, it's a really good point. I think that as a school district, and especially one of our particular size, that we have to band with the Florida, with FADS, which is the Florida, Administrative District Superintendents Association, to be able to leverage our stance as superintendents to be able to advocate for additional fundings in different categoricals and also general funding on the student basic, on the student basic allocation along with our FTE. Also, we have to be able to, as we turnkey and provide the presentation in October to the board, we will come with a plan to be able to have that movement, what it looks like to market and to educate and engage this community about where we are financially and what our needs are to be able to continue to provide a quality education. To your point on New York, they spend about $20,000 plus per student, and that's what they receive on their basic student allocation. We're around $7,700, $7,900. So, just being able to show that differential to be able to create that push, and I think that will be able to allow us to have a greater coordinated effort, along with the Florida School Board Association as well. And I think that along with parent advocates, I think we can be able to create additional assistance where needed. But once again, during the pandemic, it's very hard because healthcare will always be the greatest priority when session comes. But we have got to be, a close 1B to be able to continue that education.
And I just have two other comments. I mean, when you look at ESSER 3, and I would love to know the interest that the state is receiving from that kind of money holding on to it. What's the monthly interest of all those billions of dollars that they're holding? I mean, I would love to know what that is. And then the idea that we need to do more, the idea that the increase was $6.25 last year. It's incredible, and because of the cost of living for the state. So I think we really need to almost have a diagram for people to see. We really need to educate people. The news, that should be the one thing that we're talking about constantly, is just how really underfunded that we are. So when you look at people when we don't have air conditioning in schools, when we have all these issues, it really comes down to budget, because nobody is going to want to work for $11 an hour.
Thank you, Member Combs. Member Hahn, followed by Member Vaughn.
Thank you, Chair Gray. The superintendent had to make some very difficult decisions this past year regarding cuts. And I know that we cannot withstand any further cuts in the schoolhouse. And my concern, and I've talked to Ms. Roe Johnson and her team when we went over these documents about kicking this can down the road, and we've got ESSER money and all of a sudden we feel like, oh, we're in a good place. But as we saw today, we're just a few years away from being right back in the position where we could possibly be in receivership. So I want some assurances that we're putting mechanisms in place, because though we may be relying on attrition through retirement, resignations, to solve some of these financial issues, there has to be mechanisms in place to make sure that we are adhering to whatever formulas you're using around schools and even staff in this building, to make sure that we're just not, continually spending more and more money. We need some safety guards in place. And I know that, we made some hard decisions in the schoolhouse, but, this board has also asked you and has been pretty outspoken about making further cuts at the highest levels of the organization. And I know you just did a reorganization not long ago, and you presented us with some financial information around those decisions. And I know hopefully we can get into that discussion at one of our workshops, but we cannot withstand, and I don't think the board would have an appetite to make any further cuts in the schoolhouse. So there needs to be a very clear plan that addresses cuts outside of schools, if necessary, and how we're going to safeguard the attrition if that is a strategy that we are depending on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Hahn, through the chair, Dr. Hahn is absolutely correct. We cannot cut at the schools. And, when I first came here, we cut $6 million at the district level. Through attrition, there was another 158 positions at the outside of the schools that we did not hire for, which I believe that was around $11 million. And then we had another wave of close to, I think, 5 point something to $6 million as well outside of the schools, inclusive of the district level. So we've done a really good job. We will still continue to make certain that that's a priority. Any position that has to be, was asked or requested to be added, whether it's at the school level or the district level, it has to come through the controls through myself, Mr. McCauley, and every cabinet member along with Ms. Johnson, and make certain that she's at the table, and with human resources to ensure that it's either mission critical or that we're leveraging federal dollars where we can, because one thing we can't do is continue to exhaust and add positions we don't have the money to do so. So, yes, ma'am.
So I appreciate that, because when I look at some of the strategies, which one was moving those e-learning salaries from last year to ESSER's. Well, when ESSER's money is gone, those salaries are going to be moved right back into general fund. So, that's a Band-Aid. I also, when is the Financial Advisory Committee's first meeting?
Ms. Johnson.
I don't know if, who's...
We sent out emails yesterday and today, and when we hear from all the committee members, we're going to set that meeting next week sometime between 5 and 7.
Okay, and, I would just, if anybody has questions on how the ESSER's money is spending, look at that dashboard. We have our spending up. We're trying to be transparent about it, and, we appreciate feedback from our constituents on that as well. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Hahn. Member Vaughn, and following that, we will continue the final public hearing. We must get finished with that. We have employee comment at 6. And Member Vaughn, if you'll make your questions fairly swift so we can get to the end of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent Davis, I just really have two kind of questions. The first one is, in comparison to other counties who are also facing the same funding challenges that we have, why do you think Hillsborough is unique in the fact that we're facing such a deficit at this point, would be the first question. And the second question is, per our conversation and my conversation with Ms. Johnson, and to kind of address what Dr. Hahn had asked, what I had been told is that, honestly, aside from going on the ballot and having the voters pass an extra millage rate to give us some sort of self-funding, that even with attrition and, mitigation strategies, that in the next, 3 to 4 years, we're absolutely not going to be able to, unless there's some miracle that comes out of Tallahassee and they raise our fund, be able to face this head on. Is that still the advice that you have? Is that still the feeling that you have?
So through the chair, I would say that right now, I would say it's too early to tell. We've got to figure out how to close that $61 million gap. While we were over $100 million last year and we've worked diligently to close it, we would allow us to October to have a better picture of what we can accomplish with our plan, and we'll have a better forecast of what we can and cannot do. But I will say from the floor, anytime you get a chance to generate additional revenues, the way in which we did for the half cent to be able to address the $1 billion of deferred maintenance, it truly allows us to free up funding to be able to address and fill gaps that where we are underfunded within our school districts. As relates to other school districts, I would say that we are in a openly, we're in isolation compared to others. Many others have really healthy reserve balances, and that's because of organizational controls and being able to look at every dollar and every cent to ensure that it aligns with the mission and the strategic plan of the work. For us, unfortunately, and I don't want to get into it as well, we're not in that luxury, and we just have to address it. These are the cards that we have. We will own it. We will build plans to address it, and we'll seek your feedback in October to be able to refine it to make sure it's systemic.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. And right now, board members, we're working again just to bring you back to what we were doing. We're on the final public hearing for the millage rates, and we need a motion. We have the motions, but we need the vote right now for, I believe it's part 2.
Budget. This is for the budget.
This is for the budget.
We'll repeat the motion. The motion is to approve, adopt the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget of $3,378,805,961. That's the motion on the floor, made by Dr. Hahn and seconded by Ms. Combs.
Okay, board members, would you go ahead and vote when your lights are on? Member Vaughn? Okay, thank you, Member Vaughn. And it is unanimous. We're going now to Part 3, Step 1. Ms. Johnson, it is recommended that the board approve the resolutions adopting the fiscal year 2021-2022 millage rates and fiscal year 2021-2022. I know we just did the budget, but if you'll just retract.
The resolutions that will allow staff
Correct.
the ability to do it.
And this is the final resolution. That's
Okay.
the final.
So, board members, I need a motion and a second to approve the resolutions adopting the fiscal year 2021-2022 millage rates and the fiscal year 2021-2022 budgets as presented. I have a motion by Member Hahn, and I have a second by Member Combs. Is there anyone in the public that would like to make a comment at this time? Board members, are there any board members who would like to make a comment about this section at this time? Seeing none, please vote when your lights are on. Thank you, board members. We will now adjourn. Ms. Johnson, is that correct? You're on? Okay. We will now adjourn the final public hearing on the fiscal year 2021-2022 millage rates and the fiscal year of 2021-22 budget and reconvene the regular school board meeting. We're back to business, to other business. And that means we're going right to the recognitions and proclamations. Thank you, Ms. Johnson, for your expertise, and Superintendent Davis for being Johnny on the spot. But, we are very mindful. You heard the questions. We have got to have a plan for that workshop, if not before. And I think the board members are ready for that. Okay, we will now move on, and we have the first one, AO1, Start with Hello, Call to Action Week. Member Combs, will you present this proclamation?
Okay. Start with Hello Week proclamation. Start with Hello Week is September 20th through the 24th. Its purpose is to raise awareness and educate effective ways to prevent or reduce social isolation by encouraging connectedness and inclusiveness. Start with Hello Week was started after the Sandy Hook shooting and is part of the Sandy Hook promise to make our communities safer and to encourage schools and communities to unite in action to prevent youth violence and promote a strong school culture. The goal of Start with Hello Week is to foster long-term connectedness, greater inclusion, and to create a strong and supportive culture and community. Our schools and students always come up with very creative and wonderful ways of supporting and recognizing Start with Hello Week, and we know this year will be no different.
Thank you, Member Combs. And I need a motion and a second to approve Start with Hello. I have a motion by Member Perez, a second by Member Washington. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote when your lights are on. And with Member Hahn away from her. Oh, she voted. Member Vaughn? Member Vaughn? Okay, we're good to go. All righty, it's unanimous. AO2, adoption of proclamation, American Founders Month and Celebrate Freedom Week in Florida, September 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2021. I will present this proclamation. America Founders Month and Celebrate Freedom Week proclamation. In recognition of the contributions of the founders of the United States, September has been designated as American Founders Month, a month when public schools are encouraged to coordinate instruction at all grade levels related to the nation's founding fathers. September 17th is Constitution Day, a day that commemorates the signing of the United States Constitution in 1787. The last full week of September is known as Celebrate Freedom Week, to recognize the sacrifices made for our nation's great freedoms and timeless truths. And of course, and very importantly, as Member Hahn had read too, September 11th has many meetings, but it is designated Patriot Day, the day the American people endured the worst terrorist attack on the United States soil. It is hard to believe Saturday will be 20 years since this attack occurred. Isn't it hard? It's just, just reflect on that. We continue to pay tribute to each of those wonderful men and women who we lost during these attacks, and their family members, and those who rose in service. Board members, I need a motion and a second to approve this proclamation. I have a motion by Member Perez, a second by Member Washington. Do I have any discussion from board members? Member Washington? Did you have a discussion on that? No. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, board members, please vote when your lights are on. Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you, board members. We'll have our third and final proclamation, National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, September 2021. At this time, it will be Member Perez will be presenting this proclamation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. September is known around the country as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Suicidal thoughts can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, race, orientation, income, religion, or background. We want to recognize this month to shine a national spotlight on the importance of caring for everyone's mental health, but especially children's. Positive mental health is essential to a child's healthy development. The school district of Hillsborough County also hopes to increase public awareness about the needs of children with serious mental illness and provide information on evidence-based practices and encourage those who need help to seek treatment. We also want to make it known that schools and our school service teams are there to provide support and resources for any student or staff member struggling with suicidal thoughts.
Thank you, Member Perez. I need a motion and a second to approve National Suicide Awareness Month. I have a motion by Member Perez and a second by Member Combs. Board members, will there be any discussion? Member Perez?
The mental health of the global population has been steadily declining due to the uncertainty and stress of the pandemic, and with new research showing that our collective mental health has worsened since the events of 2020, with adults and children reporting symptoms of depression and anxiety increasing fourfold in the past 12 months. If you're thinking about suicide, or worried about a friend or a loved one, or would like emotional support, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 888-628-9454. And I'm going to repeat that one more time. National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-888 628-9454. Please reach out to someone. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Perez. And also, I have cards for each of us from the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay. Call 2-1-1 if there's any person, employee, student, parent, anyone in the area that has this notion. And thank you, Member Perez, too, for pointing out such a very important month and recognizing this mental illness melody. Board members, please vote when your lights are on. Okay, Member Washington? Well, okay, we're all set. Unanimous. I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. I have a motion by Member Combs and a second by Member Hahn. Please vote when your lights are on. This is for consent agenda only. Member Perez? Up there, it's stuck. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay, we're unanimous. Clear to go. The consent agenda has been approved. We'll move now to the superintendent's comments. And right now, Superintendent Davis, we recognize you had an evaluation. We recognize you did very well. And we also recognize it's time for you to speak. So lots of updates. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Through the chair, first and foremost, thank you for all the board members for your reflection, your feedback, and just an opportunity to see the continued honesty and opportunity to grow as a leader. Every one of the evaluations were read in detail, and I'll continue to take out major components related to collaboration, communication, engaging the board proactively in our community as it anchors to a way to be able to continue to do great things for the school district. So thank you once again, and look forward to having additional one-on-one meetings to go in deeper with each of you. But as it relates tonight, the biggest thing is we want to take some time to introduce some new leaders and district-based leadership within our school district, and at the same token be able to give an update on one of our suspended agenda items, which is COVID-19 updates within Hillsborough County Public Schools. Before we start there, let's go ahead and acknowledge two new leaders that will lead the work after this evening to be able to have greater supports for our schools. The first one is the new principal at Brandon Epic 3. We want to ask Janae Terry Bird, who's a new principal, to please come up. Please come up front. Let's give a round of applause. She'll be the next leader at Brandon Epic 3. Janae is a retired Navy veteran and had a pathway of education via the Troops for Teachers. Did a really nice job transition, retiring, coming to education in Hillsborough County, taking on roles, responsibilities at Rogers Middle School, I believe. And then in 2015 started her transition to be an administrator at Pierce Young, and there was one more. There we go, Sergeant Smith. I know that was the last one, to be able to do some really cool work for kids. And then she was able to open up the 2027 Academy at Sumner. So congratulations to you. We know you have a support staff here with Mr. Nelson's here as well. We also have Mr. Woods, and the great recommendation coming from Mrs. Burkett and her team, and along with Mrs. Bays as well. So we thank you, look forward to working with you, but congratulations. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your willingness to transition to education as your second career and be able to do some really cool things. We look forward to supporting you and your endeavors. Give her another round of applause. Congratulations. And then at the same, you got to stay right there. You can't go nowhere. It's a long walk now. You got those keys. They don't jingle the same way. At the same token, we had an opportunity to find a leader for Egypt Lake Elementary School. And, this was, for me, very hard to lose one of the greatest principals that I've had a chance to engage with in a short period of time, and that is Mrs. Kristen Tonelli. It was very open about being able to find the next regional superintendent to really help children, because she has a systemic way of, in data, for 2015 all the way to now, of moving schools, as she moved the school from a B to an A this year during a pandemic. Congratulations to her being the next regional superintendent. And at the same token, and being able to find that next leader. So being able to look internally, we have Dr. Holly Magadich. If you'll please come up. Let's give a round of applause. She's probably laughing. He said my name right. I've been practicing on that. But Holly has an extensive career. Since 2015, she's been at Egypt Lake, being able to work with Julie, doing some really cool things from 2015 all the way to 2019. In the last year, moving it from a C to a B in 2019 with Julie. But the big work of being able to address a pandemic, and through the recommendation of Sue Burkett and her team, and also looking at Kristen for that leadership, is being able to bring Holly to our school district and making certain we put her in a place to be successful. We're going to be there for both of you. Know that we care about you. This work is not easy, especially during this time, but keep pushing us to do the right things. And congratulations and welcome to the principalship. Thank you so very much. Hold on one second. Aaron, did you get a picture? Outside. Get one outside. All right. Congratulations. And all the family, thank you so very much. You may not see them much after today. We will be moving cots into their buildings. All right, then one of the suspended agenda is always being able to bring particular areas to the board to provide updates. And one of those requests was just giving consistent update on COVID-19 and where we are as a school district. As relates to where the reported cases, this is a really snapshot of from September the 1st all the way to the 8th. And this really, particular table is all about the number of cases that we have, inclusive of the number of cases reported from employees, the number of cases reported from our students, the number of employees and students impacted, and the total percent impacted. The biggest thing we want to see here since September the 1st is that we've seen a significant decrease in the number of individuals impacted in our school district over a 7-period, of a week's time. Whereas in September 1st, we had nearly close over 9,000 of our students and employees were impacted, whether they were positive for COVID or whether they were out on quarantines, and drill all that down to where we are currently on the 8th. In a snapshot, we are, at over a little bit over 5,000, and the percentages moved from 3.9 to 2.33. This is also another data impact that shows when we implemented masks in Hillsborough County for all of our schools to where we are related, starting looking at the 18th and looking at the 20th, which is our high point, which was the percentage of our, employees and students who were impacted over 5.61%, and over 13,000 individuals were impacted at one particular time. And where we sit today with a 47% decrease in the impact since August 18th, and then a 58% decrease since August 20th. And I will say that, the mask can be contributed to this implementation due to our quarantine rules and regulations, and being able to keep more students in front of our teachers and more students in front of our schools. And hats off for our staff being able to implement, and our students and our parents understanding this current situation that we are in. And this is another snapshot of student cases. There was a constituent that spoke this evening about August 23rd. That was our big high date, with over 600 individuals that were out at a particular time, but you still can see that decrease since the implementation of masks currently, and the positive impact it's had. One thing I have to say is, during this process, during our quarantines, during COVID, this year has really started out in a worse situation than we were last year. While last year there was a lot of unknowns, and we had a lot of mitigation strategies prepared and implemented this year, it has been at an accelerated level of quarantines, accelerated level of COVID cases. My hats off goes to every principal, every AP, every support staff that are working before, during, and after school to contact those who've had direct or indirect contact. I talk to principals on weekends, on Sundays, and they're trying to capture information to call people to stay home that have had that interactions. And I will tell you openly, as a board, as a community, please be compassionate to our teachers, our support staff, and administrators. They are exhausted. They really are, but they are working so hard. Same way with our bus drivers, same way with our food nutrition, who are doing double routes, doing extra work for supervision. Please let them know how much you care about them, and we're trying to provide as much support as we can. I appreciate, when Dr. Hahn and the board brought up a couple meetings ago, we've got to look at something different to help our schools. And we appreciate that push. What that push allows us to do is look at two options that we presented to our schools. The first option is we started for immediate mandate is to give it 5 T-pay roles to every one of our schools where they can select individuals to have up to 20 combined hours at their school per week, and to be able to leverage to pay administrators, instructional staff, or support staff along the way at a rate for particular individuals and at their individual rate as support staff, or they have the option of taking up being able to bring a customer service representative at their school with having 25 hours per week, and those individuals will be temporary, will not receive benefits, but a temporary position to really help us during COVID to contact trace, to call our parents, to leverage additional resources and coverage where needed. And we'll use this to be able to amend our ESSER funds, because this is really what our ESSER funds are built to do. Support schools, support staff, alleviate that. And for our administrators who are watching the support staff, we are working tirelessly with the Department of Health. Mrs. Brown and her team had another phone call today about how that relationship looks, what they can do to be able to expand their team to alleviate it. And, Jennifer Sperano has been really awesome in that process. And, we thank her and her team. And we appreciate their efforts. But as we look at that process, we've got to work to be able to have greater accessibility to vaccines. We see when we look at Hillsborough County at scale with 1.5 million related to our residential population, 53% have been identified as vaccinated. And this is the choice of constituents, but I thought it's just relevant to be able to show this information to our community, to the board, and share it. My recommendation for those who feel most comfortable is to be involved in that process. We're going to continue to support the efforts for those who aspire, who are willing to be able to have and have eligibility for the vaccination. We're going to open up a number of sites in September, the week of the 18th and the 19th for round 1, and then also the following week on the 25th and 26th for another session of round 1, and then we have round 2 doses coming available as well. The sites have not been selected. We are working with the Department of Health and also our potential partnerships in that to select sites, and we'll do it in a geographical location. But we just want to make certain that we continue to promote this, because that was one of the asks. What are we doing to promote vaccinations? Because as we had our medical experts on the phone the other day in front of the board, in front of us, really talking about the importance of this possibility, and continue to educate our community so they can make informed decisions that's best for them. I'm going to let Mrs. Sperano talk about any elements that I may have missed related to COVID, and just really thank her for what she does, Ms. Sperano, every single day.
Thank you, Superintendent. Good evening, Board. Just to piggyback and follow up on something that the Superintendent said, is we're continuing to work with the Department of Health on what strategies we can implement, what pieces of our process we can streamline to take more off of the plate of the schools. And we're going to be meeting our IT people with the Department of Health IT people early next week to determine how we can utilize technology to streamline the process. We have some steps that I think that we can integrate to save time and energy from our schools. Mrs. Brown?
Let me just go right back into this. I believe, Mr. Porter, Superintendent Davis, we're going to get into 1102 to discuss the mask mandate. So did you want to do it now, or do you want to wait till?
What I would recommend, I think the superintendent gave very good comments about that, and when we get into the item, I'm going to ask Mrs. Brown or the superintendent or Ms. Perona to sort of go over in more detail or repeat that so it's clear on the record that it's attached to that agenda item. Okay. I think they're both important, and it's important information, but I would recommend we wait till we get to that item to hear further.
Just going over a layer. Thanks.
Sounds good. Jennifer, you want to go? You want us to wait now, or you want us to go?
I think it's more appropriate to do it with the agenda item.
Okay, I agree with you, sir. Okay.
Yeah, we're getting into the weeds right now, but we will be getting into it, with action going on. So thanks,
Yes,
Superintendent Davis.
And we're good to go. That's the close of my.
Boy, that was
superintendent.
quick. Had I
Listen,
known that, we could.
Listen, somebody told me there was a Bucks game tonight. So
There is a Bucks game.
there was no pressure. We've got a lot of bets of what time we're going to get closed out tonight up here, so they won't tell me.
I'm on the move. So with that being said, we will address it 11:02. Member Vaughn, did you have a question on the 11:02 or on the superintendent's comments?
I did have a question, but it's going to tie into math, so I'll save it for that discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so with the rapid speed and the football toss just about happening, we're going to go into, hold on just a second, Mr. Porter, school board.
We could roll this. We could roll my update into 11:02 as well.
Want me to roll it in? Okay. All right. I'm going to switch things around just a tad. The following items will now be heard. But first, let me say thank you, Superintendent Davis, for your updates. We appreciate it. We're going to hear the following items: C301, C1101, C1102. I put 1102 for the first one because we will have discussion. And right now, I'm going to read 1102. Discussion about the district's plan regarding the mandatory facial covering requirement that allows for a parental opt-out form with medical certificates that expires on September 17, 2021. Mr. Porter will highlight this item.
Sure. Thank you, board members and Madam Chair. So you'll recall that on August 18th, the board held a special call board meeting to deal with the issue of the high number of students and staff in isolation and quarantine, and also the number of COVID cases. The board determined that that was an emergency and needed to be addressed immediately, so the board instituted a mask ordinance with a parental opt-out, but also required a medical certificate. You'll recall that previously the superintendent had initiated a mask mandate that allowed for parental opt-out. The board added the additional requirement of having a medical certificate be attached to it. It's important to note that that's exactly the same plan that the board instituted for the prior school year as part of your reopening plan. That letter that was submitted to the state, and it was approved last year. This year they advised us that they had an issue with that. Several other school districts in the state, including Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Orange, Duval, and some other smaller districts, adopted similar mandates with parental opt-out with a medical certificate required. There's been litigation involving this. A group of parents sued the governor, the commissioner of education, and the state board of education. I've tried to provide you updates on that because it's been fast moving and things change. Where that case is right now is this. The judge ruled in favor of the parents and basically said the state didn't have the right to prevent school boards from doing what you did, which was a mask mandate with a medical opt-out. The state appealed that and asked for a stay, which meant they couldn't enforce the order. The judge lifted the stay, which means as of right now, the courts have determined that the state does not have the power to enforce the order that would prevent you from doing a mask ban. That's also been appealed. The parties have till tomorrow at 8, or tonight, excuse me, at 8 p.m. to provide responses, and we expect tomorrow the appeals court will rule on the stay and then ultimately on the decision. So where we are right now is, and this will change probably tomorrow, that the state does not have the power to take action against us based on our mask mandate. So that's sort of the background of this information. Where we are now is you adopted a mask mandate under your emergency rulemaking powers. That section of Florida statutes allows you to adopt an emergency rule for up to 90 days. This board chose to do it for 30 days. That's going to expire on September 17th. So under the emergency rule, there's still technically 60 days left that you could act under your emergency. At this point, I think it's appropriate to have Ms. Sperano, Mrs. Brown, and to the superintendent, to the extent he wants to, go over in more detail some of the information that the superintendent already presented about the number of isolation, quarantine, the positivity rate in the county as a whole, and also the number of cases in our schools. So that was sort of where you were headed, and I stopped it. So now, go forth.
Now, Ms. Brown, you can initiate.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Superintendent, board members. Important information to share with you this afternoon regarding countywide data. a week ago, our positivity rate across the county was at 16.7%. This week, as of yesterday, we were at 15%. So it's going downward, which is encouraging, and it's consistent across the region. We currently have about 74 cases per 100,000 residents in Hillsborough County, consistent with Pasco at 88, Pinellas at 64, and the state at 67. So we're all in about the same area. So our cases are down per day from across the county from 1,565 total cases to 1,066. So we're moving in a very positive direction, which is encouraging. But it's important to note that though we're moving downward, we're still higher than we were in January, which was the peak prior to the Delta variant being in place. What we find is that we're seeing improvement, as the superintendent mentioned in his comments this afternoon, in terms of the number of students that are impacted and employees that are impacted. And I think I'll turn it over to Ms. Sperano if she'd like to add something regarding the impact report.
Good evening again. So as per a request that I received from a couple of board members, I forwarded you all pretty much the exact same data that the superintendent displayed beautifully just a few minutes ago. Our impact data demonstrates a decrease in the number of students and employees who are isolating and quarantining, and our student positivity shows a decrease from the date of the implementation of the mask mandate to now. So if you have any questions specifically regarding the data, I would be happy to answer.
Thank you, and I will say that we will have questions. At this point in time, I'm going to give the gavel to Member Hahn because I'm going to be making a motion. On August 18th, I called an emergency meeting of the board to address the spread of COVID-19 in our schools, plus the large number of students and staff in isolation and quarantine due to COVID-19. This board listened to the professional advice of the Florida Department of Health in Hillsborough and medical experts at TGH, Tampa General Hospital. The board also considered the recommendations of the Center for Disease Control, which recommends the wearing of facial coverings in school. Based on this data, the board voted to require facial coverings for students, teachers, and staff in Hillsborough County Public Schools. The board allowed for a parental opt-out with a medical certificate. The requirement is in place for 30 days, as Mr. Porter said, and is set to expire on September 17th. Based, and thank you, Ms. Sperano, for your data points, and Jeremy Bunkley, wherever he is, based on the continual presence of COVID-19 in our schools and the data presented just now, and is probably on every one of our respective dais positions, I think it wise to continue requirement for another 30 days. The data suggests the requirement is working, but we need more time to ensure the health, safety, and welfare of our students, teachers, and staff. Therefore, I'm making the following motion. I move that we extend the facial covering requirement established by the board on August 18, 2021 for another 30 days until October 15th. Further, at that time, we can revisit and reevaluate the situation. That is my motion. And I will need a second.
Dr. Hahn, you have to ask for a second. You're just your chair right now.
You're a chair.
Do I have a second to the motion? Or do I have a motion? Sorry. Ms. Vaughn? Is that Ms. Vaughn? Did you provide a motion?
Ms. Gray made a motion.
You made a motion?
Yeah, and it looks like Ms. Vaughn
I
seconded.
need to second it. Okay. Sorry. Ms.
Okay.
Vaughn seconded it.
Now we ask for
Now you have board discussion.
And now, is there any discussion for this motion that's on the table? Thank you.
It looks like Member Vaughn wants to speak.
Member Vaughn? And then
Thank
Member
you.
Prince.
Thank you. I do have a question for either Ms. Sperano, Ms. Brown, or Superintendent Davis. We've heard several speakers talk about tying the mask mandate to a metrics of some sorts with regards to positivity rate. Does anyone have any feedback if that was something that we wanted to consider going forward, what that metric level might be?
So I think this is Mr. Porter or Jim Porter, Ms. Vaughn. I think I need to speak to that. So you're still operating under your emergency rulemaking powers, which has a strict limit of how long you could enforce or enact the rule, which is 90 days. If the board wanted to do normal policy making and make this a rule, then it would be appropriate to tie it, if you wanted to some sort of metrics or matrix. But we can't do that under the emergency rulemaking because that's defined by time. At this point on your clock, you have 60 days left to do that. But in the future, if you wanted to do normal rulemaking, that would be something staff could look at and recommend.
I appreciate that feedback. Thank you, Mr. Porter. And then I'd like to make an amendment to the motion to make it 60 days instead of 30 days for the maximum time under the 90 days.
Okay, so that's an amendment that would require a second, Dr. Hahn. So you would have to ask if there's a second.
Is there a second?
Can we clear the board, please? Yeah. Hold on. So what Ms. Vaughn is asking, she wants to amend the motion to allow the mask mandate with the parental opt-out with a medical certificate to be for 60 days instead of an additional 30 days.
Do we have a second? We do not have a second. The motion fails. And
Correct.
we go
So we're
back to the
main
original
motion.
question,
Yes.
which is mandated for 30 days. Ms. Vaughn, do you have any further questions before we move on to Member Perez?
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Perez?
So Superintendent, how do you, or what will your recommendation be?
Yes, ma'am. So right now, with emergency order still being in the forefront as being identified as properly constitutional, and with it, well, let's just say in the stay moment.
Where we are right now, we need to be very accurate.
I want to make sure.
Court order that says the state does not have the power to tell you all what to do, basically. I'm going to talk legally this day.
Yes.
I'm going to talk in English. So that will probably change. It's in litigation. It is being appealed. We don't know what will happen, but at this moment at 6:38 p.m., you have the right to do this.
Yes, sir. So my recommendation, knowing and understanding that it's in the appeal process, is to continue to follow the executive order related to making certain that we offer masks, we offer masks within our school district, and then also offer the opportunity for parents to opt out. I will say that with the data we did show and display that with my recommendations still aligned with the executive order, there has been some positive movement with being able to keep students in our classrooms with masks. So there's positives to it. I look forward to the final verdict related to where we are related to this executive order. But I would say right now I have to continue to align with the parents' rights, and but at the same token, I recognize that the masks have had a positive impact.
So as far as the learning loss, it has significantly helped our students towards, and this district, towards decreasing learning loss for our students and keeping them in the classroom.
Through the chair, that is absolutely correct. Through looking at the last, September 1st through September 8th, we know we did have a spike after the long weekend with Labor Day, but we knew that was going to come. But if you look at those other days, we do see a decrease in the number of overall employees and students that have been impacted due to the fact that we've instituted masks.
Thank you.
That's the one contributor, I would say.
Thank you, Member Perez. Member Combs?
Thank you, Member Perez, for asking that question, because I was going to ask the same question. I'm a former social studies teacher, so I believe, as you know, the U.S. Constitution, there's 3 branches of government. So when people say that we're breaking the law, there are 3 branches of government. That's why we live in America. So I think that's really important when people are attacking the board or other individuals on that. I feel like I'm a very moderate person. For me, I really can see, for me, I can't understand how part of it is like we're asking kids to mask, but we have right here 65,000 people about to go to a football game. I'm a big football fan. The other night I was watching the FSU game and I was like, wow, look at that. Like no one was wearing masks. So for me, that's kind of an issue. Sometimes I wonder if kids are wearing masks all day and then they're going to football games at high school, or they're participating in indoor volleyball games and things like that, sometimes that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And also for me, long term, I want to say that I am going to support the 30 days, and I'm going to say why. But I am one of these people who I really feel that long term masks are very detrimental for young children. And so when people talk about waiting to get the vaccination in order, if you look at our numbers in high school, you're seeing that the numbers are huge there and kids are eligible for vaccinations. So I think that we can't just say, let's wait for a vaccination, because we're seeing some kids are not doing vaccinations. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, non-COVID related, I was in the hospital and I asked several nurses how they felt. One in Hernando County told me, well, my child is masked, but everyone around them is not masked in Hernando County. Another one said, my children wear masks, but I wouldn't do the vaccination. So I think it depends on who you talk to. So for me, it's not really, I worry about the safety of children, but I also worry about the social skills and what impact that has on children. For me, the mask is not about freedom and our rights being taken away. For me, that's not what it's about. It's about what is going to be in the best interest of children and keeping our schools open. I read this past week 2 districts in North Florida closed. One went automatically to e-learning. The other one closed down for 2 weeks. I've been out to about 10 schools in the last 10 days, and every school I asked the principal, what do you think? How do you feel? And a lot of them say, we don't believe this is a solution long term, but we do believe it's decreasing the number of quarantines. So that is what's keeping our schools open. And I know for me, I think the worst thing to happen right now would be closing schools and having kids go back, to e-learning. So I will get back in the queue because I do have a couple points I want to make as well.
Thank you, Member Combs. Member Gray?
Thank you, Member Co-Chair Hahn. I will say the bottom line, and we've said this before, is we want our kids in school. We want them in school for the mental reasons and absolutely for the academic, social, and all the other reasons that's necessary. Having said that, we all agree on that. Everyone agrees. What we have a disagreement on is whether masks really make a difference. Does it decline the spread? Well, we have the statistics right in front of us. And what's interesting, when we were listening to some of the speakers, some had said, well, we're going to get it anyway. They're going to get it at a football game, or they're going to get it somewhere else. If you look at the statistics real close, from the point of 8/18 to yesterday, Wednesday, so we know 370 students were quarantined due to school exposure. Now, that's an interesting one, and they tested positive. 341 students quarantined due to home exposure. See, what happens if you go to a classroom and you watch the teacher go from desk to desk, which I did yesterday and the day before. I couldn't even interrupt one of them because what they're doing is contact tracing. They're absolutely writing down who is sitting where. So they actually trace who is having the COVID, and then they refer it to other students who are sitting next to. So it might have been at first like a heyday of kind of guessing, but it's not. A teacher, I couldn't even interrupt the one at Shields yesterday or the day before. She was so intent in making sure she did her contact tracing. So Ms. Morano, you're doing a great job with the teaching, and Ms. Brown, but I want to make sure there's a notion that home, there's a difference between, and you can go ahead and maybe highlight this. What is the difference between, if you're delineating school, home, work, home exposure? We know the numbers have gone down. I mean, that's data for some of us who are questioning whether masks make a difference or not. And that's just CDC. You can see that everywhere. It depends on which part you Google to find out information. But we know it in our schools. So couldn't you go ahead and explain to those folks who say, oh, well, they're getting it during their parties or they're getting it, elsewhere from school. How does that work when we see in school that it's actually decreasing, even though they're going home or even though they're going, parents are going to work? Help us out a little bit with that.
Yes, ma'am. So I've discussed this with principals and with my team and with Mrs. Brown. In our school environments where everybody's masked, remember, my mask protects you and your mask protects me. So when they go home and they're not in an environment with 18 other people, and maybe they're in their room playing video games or they're playing outside, that distancing and that mitigation is kind of naturally taking place. So I think that increases the opportunity for them not to contract COVID in the community. On the flip side, we do know that COVID is transmitted very easily and very quickly and very efficiently in households. So where a household might not be large in nature, the physical plant of the household isn't large, but there are numerous occupants, even some being vaccinated and some being unvaccinated, we are seeing household spread. So it's sort of a dichotomy. There are two sides to the community spread versus the school spread. Right now, we're not seeing as much classroom spread in the last couple of weeks, but this was the data that I had that you requested, so I thought I would share it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that the public knew that the contact tracing was done, and those parents that have children who are sick, possibly with COVID, are getting tested. Possibly it takes 24 hours or more, and then parents at home hopefully will be having masks, et cetera. And I think the hook is coming for me to be quiet, so I'm going to get back, maybe in line, but I think the point's been made.
Thank you, Member Gray.
She's threatening me almost. All right.
Member Combs. You can get back in the queue, Member Gray, if you'd like. Member Combs.
Every day I'm actually on the state of Florida and Hillsborough and looking at those dashboards, and it looks to me as if the last 5 or 6 days we've hit the peak and we're declining. So I think sometimes it's a little confusing because it looks like maybe we're declining because we're wearing masks, but there's an overall decline in the state. So what we did today or the last few days, I've called like 8 or 9 private schools, school secretary did, and almost every private school is all extending the mask mandate, besides the 2, Berkeley and Jesuit, who haven't had it, have been an opt-out. They've all, and most of them are looking at a 10% being their metric. So I'm just saying it's not out of the question that we're doing this, is because there are other schools throughout, public and private. As a matter of fact, the Catholic schools were initially not having it as optional, and then they turned around and made it mandated across the state. So I just wanted to point that out. I really would like to see, when we discuss, more of a definitive number, what that looks like, because I don't want parents to feel like it's going to be 30 days, it's going to be more 30 days, something realistic on what we're going to do. And I guess my other question is, when you look at Pasco and Pinellas, and how are they comparing, because they're doing masks with opt-out. I spent the other day at Alonzo High School. I spent the entire day there. Most of the children were wearing masks. When I asked them, most of them didn't want to wear masks. A lot of kids are wearing masks, underneath with their noses all the time. So we really have to look at the realistic part. They're having pep rallies. We're doing after school activities. So some of that doesn't make sense. And the super spreader is lunch, and we still are not able to avoid that. So I think we need to look at, generally, last month we had the most deaths ever since COVID started in Florida. This past August was the worst. So I think it's really in the context of people are feeling tired about masks, but how do we keep kids in school and how do we keep our district open? So I guess, Superintendent Davis, my question to you is, do you think that we have to keep masks so we can keep our quarantines lower and keep kids in schools, or do you feel that that's not going to really impact students?
So I'd say this, with looking at the data is clear that there's been a change. So the only change that we've currently had in the infrastructure, and Tracy and Jennifer can tell me wrong, has been mask. We've done a really nice job pushing the Department of Health, but we've also done a nice job implementing CDC guidelines related to our quarantine processes. We have some school districts that aren't following those guidelines, and they're reducing the numbers, but I think that you put yourself at risk and others at risk when you do that. I'm one that wants to accelerate the, reducing the quarantine process, which we have. We have it for 5 days. We have it for, 6, 7 days, 10 days, all the contingents on outlining our protocols. But I think it has been a contributor when you look at what's taken place with the data. I'm data driven. Everybody knows that. So I can't deny it where we look at it. And that's been the only indicator that I think we've had over the last probably 2 weeks.
So if there wasn't an executive order, I hate to ask you a question, but you are the superintendent. If there wasn't an executive order and if there wasn't a court handling, how would you feel about masks? Because I ask my principals and assistant principals every day when I go out there. And what they're telling me is, listen, we don't like the masks, but we understand that it's keeping kids in school. And they also say, they can't be the mask police. When you're in a high school, there's so many issues. You're not going to sit around and look at every uniform and every mask. So I know it's not realistic, but, as far as, it's a hard decision to make. What do you think is in the best interest of not the executive order, but what is in the best interest of our district?
Absolutely. So, we do have an executive order. So right now, where my stance is. If we didn't have an executive order and we had these analytics that I presented tonight, one thing, what we've done the last 2 weeks, it's reduced the number of students out of our schools, which is always a positive and always a celebration. We have to have kids in front of our teachers, and we need to do it in a safe, social manner. Last year, we had masks the entire year, and we did a really good job. So with the numbers looking at that way in a world we didn't have an executive order openly and without the new Bill of Rights for families rights, which is the new law that came in July 1st. With this information, I think masks has helped us. It has really reduced some of the stressors of putting a lot of our pressures on our administration and our staff who are contact tracing and interacting. So that's where I'm at.
Because I think it's really important for people to realize that it really is about keeping kids in school and not closing our district down, not closing schools down, and also just overall just mitigating what's happening in society right now.
Thank you, Member Combs. I just want to say a few words and I have a few questions. So based on your most recent interaction just now, are you saying that if we didn't have the Parents' Bill of Rights, that you would be recommending a year in masks like last year?
No, ma'am, to the chair, absolutely not. I was just referencing that we had last year we did a really good job opening up in a safe, social manner. I would say if we had trend data without the new law that was implemented in July 1st, without the executive order, it would be a possibility for a discussion that I'd be willing to have due to the data.
Interesting. Okay, that's quite a big jump from 30 days to a year. But okay, so, I'm a data geek too, superintendent, and our data is all over the place. So, Ms. Sparano, what do you attribute the jump in our data from 248 cases to 21 cases up to now 456 cases in just the last 2 days? Why are we seeing this kind of erratic jumps day to day? What would you attribute that to?
It's the weekend. The days that are the high days are the
right. But what we know about the virus is that it takes more than 2 days for someone to turn positive. So we just got off a holiday weekend. It takes 7 to 14 days. So we haven't even seen the effects of this past weekend. So are you saying where's the 456 coming from then?
So these are cases that were reported on Tuesday, which was the first day that we were in school for the week. So if parents had been able to make contact with schools or schools had been available to parents to receive the information, some of those 456 cases would have been dispersed on the 5th and the 6th, which were Saturday and Sunday. And you'll see that the high days, like the last 2 Mondays, have been higher than the rest of the week as well.
Because they're just all over the place.
Because that's the day that they were reported. Yeah. So they're not reported on the weekend because we don't have schools working.
So the quarantine processes and protocols we talked about when we originally put this mandate in place, and excuse me, at that time, our numbers were extremely high in quarantine, and we discussed that there was a correlation between the high numbers and the lack of fidelity in which the quarantine protocols were being implemented across schools. So I know that we're seeing numbers go down in the quarantining. The numbers are decreasing. But I also know that immediately after that meeting, you sent out multiple emails, had multiple discussions in person with principals around quarantine protocols and really trying to get the fidelity of the implementation increased. So I know we're saying that, oh, masks are what's driving this down, but we have to understand that though masks may contribute to this, there are a lot of things that are contributing to these numbers going down. And one of them is probably the fact that we have more fidelity in our quarantine protocols, correct?
I would say, Jennifer, do you want us to address that? I know we've been consistent from day one. From your side of it, because you deal with it every single day, do you see that there was major inconsistencies in that process?
So, no, sir, and I wasn't privy to the discussions that you had with principals. The only learning curve that we had was that first week, maybe the first 8 days of school, where we had trained our staff on one set of protocol on July 31st and August 2nd. And then after the emergency rule on August 6th, just days before school started, the student protocol changed. So it was well in advance of the emergency mask.
I understand that. But when we discussed the emergency mask at that meeting, we discussed the fact that we had some principals who were quarantining according to your protocols and some who were quarantining whole classrooms, some who were contact tracing across every special and quarantine all of those classrooms. And I gathered that from talking to parents and principals. So I'm not saying it was anything wrong with your protocols or how you trained people on them, but it's a big district, and principals across the district and whoever was the COVID commander at those schools, in some cases it's not the principal, were implementing quarantine protocols in different ways. All I'm trying to say is that tightening that up and becoming more consistent has probably helped contribute to the decrease in quarantines. I'll also say that, the other thing that's probably a big contributor here, and I agree with Member Combs's comments around, we go out into the community and nobody's masked, and we've seen all the football games and the majority of people, tens of thousands, are not masked. Weddings are happening. Different events around the community are happening. There's a game tonight, and people are tailgating ahead of time, even if stadiums have mask mandates. And we're seeing, the good thing is, we're starting to trend down in the community. Nobody is wearing masks. These big parties and gatherings are happening, and we're trending down. So yes, I think just like Ms. Combs, and yet we're masking our kids in schools. I think also and Dr. Holt, when we had him here, he made a statement, it stuck with me. He said the transmission is happening in the community.
Right.
The problem is not the schools.
Right.
So, of course, if we see the transmission going downward in the community, that's going to correlate to our schools. It doesn't work the other way. Now, that's just my point. I'm also, going to support. I just want to point out some of those things because we're being very heavy-handed in saying that everything we're seeing on these papers tonight are only due to masks. And I'm saying that that may be a contributing factor, but there's a lot of contributing factors that are driving these numbers up and down, and a lot of it's happening outside of our schools. So I just want us to be really careful and not be so heavy-handed, because people do listen to what we're saying here, and it influences people, and we really need to be careful with how we're presenting the data, because it could come across as very irresponsible. So, I am going to continue to support parental choice in this matter. I think parents make good decisions. I think, even before the mandate, parents who had opted out were still sending their child to school in a mask. But I do appreciate everybody's opinion. I appreciate the constituents who continue to reach out. And so, I'll end there. I know Ms. Vaughn has a comment, and then we can vote. Thank you so much. Superintendent would like to respond to my questions.
No, yes, ma'am. Thank you. And Dr. Hahn, you're absolutely correct. We did have some outliers where we had some quarantines that should not have taken place in that schools. We did tighten up that belt, and it could be a contributor to that process. And I want to be very clear with this community and this board. I am not advocating for us to do masks for a full year. I've been an advocate for choice from day one, but I did say I'm willing to have a conversation if we didn't have those two elements within the confines and what we're working with, to have a conversation related to where we are and where we're going to go. I will always be about parent choice. I've done that from day one, from educational offerings at the same token to this, but we will have to have a conversation related to where we are, and I appreciate it.
I appreciate your clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
It makes me feel better. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Member Vaughn?
Thank you. I have some questions for Mrs. Perano. I'm currently quarantining due to exposure, and from everything I'm reading, symptoms can show up 2 to 3 days. Is that not correct? Am I misreading something? Is it a 7 to 10 day incubation period specifically, or can symptoms show themselves in 2 to 3 days?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Member Vaughn, for your question. So the Delta variant, there's evidence that people become symptomatic more quickly than they did with the original strain of COVID. I don't have universal data on what the average rate of demonstrating symptoms is, but I can tell you from my experience working with our students, families, and employees in Hillsborough County Public Schools that I have seen people demonstrate symptoms after exposure soon after exposure is 2 days, all the way up to 7 days.
Okay. And then the next thing I wanted to clarify is the point that I tried to make at the last meeting when we were having this discussion was that part of what was driving our quarantine numbers up were unmasked students sitting next to each other based on our protocols. So when we're talking about our quarantine numbers going down, maybe they're not directly related to the transmission of COVID, but they are related to the fact that based on our quarantine policy, if we have someone who has been exposed wearing a mask sitting next to another student who's wearing a mask, that student who was possibly exposed also wearing a mask doesn't have to quarantine. Is that correct?
As long as the students are 3 feet apart, that's correct.
So masks in general, whether they're actually containing the transmission based on our policies, are absolutely driving down our quarantine numbers. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. And then I just, not that it matters, but I just want to clarify that at many of these large events where people are going unmasked, there is policies where people have to submit proof of vaccination or they have to submit a COVID test that's negative. So there is mitigation within the community. And also, from what I'm reading, our vaccination numbers are going up. So I do agree with Dr. Hahn in the way that when we try to pinpoint what's driving up or down, our numbers, it is hard to point to one way or another. But I would like to reiterate that, to close with, regardless of whether or not we can agree or disagree on what's driving transmission in our schools, the masks, multiple children wearing masks, the mask mandates are absolutely based on our policies driving down our quarantine numbers and making sure that students who aren't maybe infected or who wouldn't normally need to quarantine are in school, in class, getting the instruction they need. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. Member Washington.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Mrs. Perron, I have a question for you. The schools, when they have the COVID command at the schools, before they quarantine, do they contact you or they just decide how many days you're going to be on the quarantine?
Thank you very much for your question, Mr. Washington. And so it's been a gradual release. And so it really depends on the school. So a school where the COVID commander has been in place since July of 2020 when I was appointed into this position, they've had a lot of practice. They've had a lot of one-on-one OJT with me. And so they're at a place where they might call me when there's a gray situation. They're going to shoot me a text and notify me what's going on. But they know how to count the days. They know how to measure the class and make sure that, that they have dotted their I's and crossed their T's, if you will. This year, we have a lot of new COVID leads because the ones last year got a little tired. So we're doing a lot of one-on-one with them, and I speak with a lot of them regularly, every day, 7 days a week, from 6:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. And Ms. Toynita Martinez, who's on my team, she also assists in working with schools and helping them to make the right decisions. And overall, our schools are very conscientious and they want to do the absolute right thing. And 9 out of 10 times I give them the answer and they say, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Member Washington, and thank you, Ms. Brown and your team, for all the hard work you're doing during COVID. I know it's very tiring, it's very tedious work, and we appreciate it, as well as I'm sure we all want to extend a thank you to principals and teachers and staffs on the front lines of our schools who are also doing a lot of the COVID work, and working under those conditions is very stressful, and so thank you. If there are no further comments, please vote when your lights appear. And you want to go over it maybe one more time, just to be clear, Mr. Porter, on what we're voting
I
on?
want to know the date. I'm saying yes if we can because I want to know the actual date.
We want to know the actual date.
So the motion on the floor made by Chair Gray and seconded by Jessica Vaughn is to extend the emergency rule that this board adopted on August 18th with all the exhibits attached to it and everything that goes into that, including a parental opt-out with a medical certificate, and extend that for 30 days until October 15th. At that time or before that time, the board would have the opportunity to revisit the issue again, and with another 30 days remaining if they wanted to consider extending it further. The other option would be to, if you wanted to do something attached to a matrix or metric, you would have to do rulemaking. Too much information. The only thing you're voting on now is to extend the mask mandate for 30 days until October 30th.
Okay, thank you.
October 13th, excuse me, October 15th.
15th.
October 15th, yes.
Yes, okay. Please vote when your lights appear. And the vote passes with myself dissenting. Thank you. And Member Snively's away from the dais. Thank you.
All right, that was a tough one.
I know.
Thank
It
you,
was
board
hard for you,
members.
wasn't it?
It was. I grinned and bared it, and thank you, Member Hahn, for being such a great co-chair, too, by the way. We're going to just bounce right over to 301, and this is another discussion item. State of Florida statewide volunteer pre-kindergarten VPK provider contract form OEL VPK 20 with the Early Learning Coalition of Hillsborough County for the 2021-2022 fiscal years. Superintendent Davis, will you highlight this item?
Yes, ma'am. This is an approval agreement with the Early Learning Coalition of Hillsborough County. Since 2006, Hillsborough County Public Schools has offered VPK, voluntary pre-kindergarten services to our students through this community. And this is a process where the Early Learning Coalition supports this initiative by providing over $500,000 to our school district, being able to offer services to our children so we can continue to help them with the basic necessary skills to be successful. It's over 100 schools that we continue to offer this service at. And it's a prorated scale related to parents being able to participate financially. It's all based on parents' free and reduced lunch status within our community. But this is all about offering voluntary pre-K services related to blended VPK, Title I VPK, and at the same topic opportunity with summer VPK. Overall, it's 540 hours that we offer during the school day, during the school year, and then we have 300 additional hours during the summer. So really appreciate the Early Learning Coalition making this a priority, because this really allows us to implement and offer students to be exposed to education at early status.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis. I need a motion and a second to approve this item. I have a motion by Member Washington, a second by Member Combs. Member Combs, you pulled this item. Would you have a question?
I don't really have a question, but more of a comment. I talked to Ms. Brown at length today, and I've talked to her in the past. And one of the things that I really would like to talk about is, as a board member, one of our goals is to talk about the vision of the district. And I know that many board members feel the same way as I do. I really want to start looking at schools not as kindergarten to 12th grade, but pre-K, the PEEPs to 12th grade, and really expanding our program that we have in Hillsborough County. I want to make sure that we are not expanding because we have a certified teacher. I was very, very vocal about the MOU with Morgan Woods Elementary, which is in one of my school districts, and how Cornerstone Ministries it has a program there, and they're not paying facility usage, and they don't have a certified teacher. So when someone comes into that school, they feel like they're being attached. And I know when I spoke to the individual who had the MOU, they discussed expanding that program throughout our district. Well, yes, who wouldn't want to do that, because there is privatization occurring and people are making profits off that. I am not someone who is anti-privatization. Okay, I believe in, competition. I believe in capitalism, but I also believe if we're able to do it within our schools, why are we allowing that to go outside? So I really would like to, I know you're working on it, Ms. Brown, on a task force, but I would like to look at what it looks like to expand. We are currently at 12%. What does it look like to get to 25% or 50%? Not just the financial impact, but more importantly, the school readiness impact. So when children enter our school and they come in at 3 years old, as we expand maybe K through or pre-K to 8th grade campuses, or we talked about earlier today, pre-K to 6th grade, let's make sure we do that, because that ensures that students are ready, that they're familiar with the school, and as well as that we can keep kids in our schools. So I just want to make sure that as we look at that pilot program, before thinking about expanding that program, why are we not doing that ourselves? So that's why I pulled that item.
Thank you, Member Combs. Member Hahn?
Thank you, Member Gray. Member Ms. Brown. What is are they paying a fee to run that pilot program for the facility?
Yes, ma'am. They're paying for custodial, and I apologize, I don't know the other thing, but they are paying something. They're paying energy and custodial, and it's about $13,000.
So they are paying a $13,000 fee. And wasn't there a consent agenda item tonight where Grace Point's paying us a dollar, was it, for 3 years to use one of our facilities? I don't think anybody pulled that. That was on consent. And so, and there's quite a few other partnerships where they don't pay anything or they pay $1. So they're paying $13,000 to run that pilot program. So it's not privatization. And I haven't said much when this has come up in the last couple of weeks, but it is a partnership. And it's a pilot. If it doesn't work, it won't be expanded. And when we really all have talked about wanting to be innovative and the urgency of expanding, as this may be starting, I know Ms. Brown, you're at the same time expanding our programs. And maybe the more that we expand, the less that we expand through partnerships. But we've got to start somewhere. We can't get it up fast enough, but I understand Member Combs' concerns. She doesn't want to see us just sit back and get overtaken by these types of partnerships. But I think right now, since we're in a very vulnerable place, we're just trying to get some things going so that we can capture a lot of kids. But I do respect your concerns. I just, this is a partnership, and it may expand, it may not. It may not. The reality is it may not expand after this year. So thank you.
Thanks, Member Hahn. Member Combs?
Just one last comment on that. I think the loss of facility usage was about I think it was like 33,000 or something around that. It was in the 30,000 range. And as I said, I believe in partnerships. It's not that I don't believe in Morgan Woods coming. I just think if what's hindering us from expanding is that certified teacher, when we can do professional development. I mean, I just want to look at two different areas, like why are we not able to expand when we do have that space in the schools, when we do have the lunchroom, when we have everything in order to have that. When I walk around the PEEPS program or the access programs, I just see wonderful things happening. So instead of just looking at just the partnerships and does it work or not work, let's just try to keep that in-house, because then we know that those children are kindergarten ready. And we know, and if there's a program in our school, when a parent comes in and they walk into the school, they're going to think that's Morgan Woods. They're going to think that's Hillsborough County Public School. They're not going to think that's a private entity. So, I mean, so I really would like to look at it on both what's hindering us and and how can we expand. So I don't want, people to think that I don't think partnerships are really important. But if we're handing out, listen, if you're going to hand out places, let me take a bunch, right? So, I mean, I'm just looking at, if you're looking at the loss of 36,000 and people profiting, then what does that look long term for our district?
So just thank you, Member Dr. Hahn and Member Combs. I just want to emphasize the fact that the task force, the role of the task force is to bring a proposal to you, some recommendations to you on how we can expand, increase access to quality programs, and how we can improve the instruction that is occurring in our classrooms so that we can improve our outcomes at kindergarten for kindergarten readiness. The pilot at Morgan Woods is exactly that. It's a pilot. It's one site. And our purpose in doing one site and asking the board to approve that was so that we could see what would work. We are consistently and constantly reviewing what's happening there, looking at what's working, looking at what's not working very well, so that we can make those adjustments. If it is not effective, absolutely we will not ask to increase that. Also, if we do, and there are issues around certification, that is absolutely something that we can expect and require when we partner with a private provider. Thank you.
Okay, Member Combs, does that satisfy your curiosity? And thank you, Ms. Brown, and thank you, Co-Chair Hahn, for bringing up those points as well. Let's go ahead and vote when your lights are on. Okay, Member Vaughn? Okay. All right, it's unanimous. It passes. At this time, board members, it is previous to the game still, but we have board comments. So if you would get in line for those comments. And here we go. Member Hahn, you're up, and then Member Washington. Whoops. Are you ready?
Yes.
She's ready.
I believe Pablo's I just wanted to highlight the Mayan numbers again this month for August, just to give you a sense of the number of students who are interacting with Mayan. As you know, Mayan is free to every child in Hillsborough County, not just students in our schools. So every child and parent can log on to use Mayan. And in August, we had, as you can see, over 300,000 books accessed, and over 91,000 books were read, and over 40,000 hours children spent interacting and reading on Mayan, which is fantastic, right? That our students can access these books electronically in English and in Spanish. They can read the books, or they can have the books read to them. And you can access it on a computer, a phone, a tablet. So it's really wonderful. As you can see, over the summer, we had over 25,000 hours that students or children spent time reading, and over 180,000 books were accessed, and over 67,000 books were read. And then the Mayan Street team, who ran some great summer challenges, Had 105 visits throughout the community this summer to different programs. Host sites, the Boys and Girls Clubs, the Plant City Parks and Rec, and the YMCA camps. And they do different challenges at those camps to get kids really engaged over the summer in reading and combat that summer slide that can exist. So that's great to have that partnership to support our students over the summer. It's really important when we talk about being ready to go back to school and school readiness. So, I just want to thank Mayan for their continued partnership. Next board meeting, I'll have some dates for the literacy fairs. We're going to continue those this year. We have 3 scheduled, maybe a 4th. We're waiting to schedule, so potentially 4 more literacy fairs this year. We're going to have them at the drive-through format, and so when I have more details, I'll be sharing those. And that's all I have for this month. Thank
Very
you.
good.
This week. Thank you.
Nicely done, Member Hahn. Member Washington?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Ms. Hahn, make sure we don't come back to District 5. We had a great time in District 5. And also, Mrs. Serrano, thank you for doing a good job, because you really have a hell of a job. I'm going to say it just like that. It really is. I think you're doing a good job. Okay. So I had opportunity to go to Jennings Middle School. And Mrs. Anderson over there, she's doing a great job as administrator over at Jennings. They talk about Jennings, but when I went there, all the teachers and students was on task. They were really working. I did not see one person who was disgruntled when I walked through the school with Mrs. Anderson. I went to the 8th grade ELA class. Mrs. Gatzer was doing a fantastic job. All kids was on task. I left there and I went to the 8th grade reading with Mrs. Corley. Those kids was engaged, and they was writing, and they was talking, and it was a great engagement. And then I went to the 8th grade pre-algebra class with Mrs. Horton, on task, doing what they were supposed to do. I left there, then I went to the 8th grade pre-algebra with Mrs. Conley. All the kids was on task, and there was some questions going on, and they had answers. They were engaged. And my last one I went to was the 6th grade math with Mrs. Cobb, and it was really fantastic. She had the kids on task. They were on computers. The upbeat is really good at Jennings. I think we're moving in the right direction. I really do, Mrs. McBride. I was impressed because when I go to a school, one of the things that I always question is the students. See if the students know what they're doing. Because, you ask the teachers, she could tell you, but I want the students to tell me. And they were all on task. And I want to say this before I close out. The greatest part about it? They gained 30 points. They gained 30 points at Jennings. So we have people in this district who are really working really hard in order to be successful. And that's all I have. Go Bucks. Raise the flag.
He's ready. Thanks, Member Washington. And your positivity is infectious, so thank you for that. Member Vaughn next, and let's hear from Member Vaughn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mine's pretty short tonight. I did have a photo I wanted to share, if Pablo can put that on the screen. I had the honor, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, it's all a blur now, of going out to the Temple Terrace Boys and Girls Club of Tampa Bay and really learning about that organization in a way I hadn't learned before. And their mission, really to make sure that every student has the same trajectory in life, every child, regardless of the circumstances they're born into, and, their programs and how they really customize them to each student and fill in so many gaps. And I was just really impressed and blown away by, the work that they're doing. And I really look forward to partnering with them. For parents who are looking, for aftercare, I encourage them to look at the Boys and Girls Club, and just our district in general. My fellow board members, if you haven't had a chance, I'm sure many of you have, but if you haven't had a chance to really meet with them and learn about about their mission, I encourage you to do so. So that's kind of, highlights of my week last week. And just in closing, like I normally do, I just really want to take the time to thank all of the people within our schools, who are working through these challenging times. I know how incredibly challenging it is with air conditionings not working and, classrooms doubling and all of the challenges that we're facing right now. And I can't express how much I really appreciate the people at our schools, our teachers every day, our admins, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, our security guards, custodians, everybody who's really keeping our schools open. And even at the district level in our district office, all of the staff members who work so hard and who are so responsive to all the requests that I lay upon you guys and so polite. I really appreciate everybody's hard work, and even my fellow board members. This is a really challenging time to be on the school board and faced with the decisions that we have to make. And I think in comparison to a lot of other meetings, our meetings, run pretty well. And I just want to say thank you to everybody and, to offer some positivity during this very challenging time.
Thank you, Member Vaughn, and thank you for that remark about our board members. We all appreciate that. Member Combs?
First of all, I want to thank Superintendent Davis, because going out to schools all the time, I see that the impact of what COVID is doing at the contact tracing, and I really appreciate you really listening and then supporting, giving the option 1 and 2 for the principals and assistant principals. I know everybody's working very hard at every level to contact trace, and when a parent gets a call that they've been exposed for the first time, the kinds of questions, the fear that they have, I really appreciate that. Along with that, I want to say I think it's wonderful that we have the paper, the new free tutoring program. I would love to see that at every middle school and high school website. I think it would be great. I noticed that when we had that in communications that said paper, click the icon. I'd love to click that and it go right to Clever instead of, because I think sometimes students don't know that. I was at Alonzo High School. I had the fortunate opportunity to sub for Miss Gleek. I think it was Tuesday. I don't remember. It was this week. Everything's a blur. But on Tuesday, I was able to substitute teach all day. It was honestly, was one of the highlights of being on the board. And being able to see freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior, and I saw that on her desk she had paper highlighted. But I asked students, and very few knew about that. So I think we need to do a really good job at getting that out, and that means on every website. And I also thought, why isn't there a banner at every middle school and high school that says free tutoring access, to really get that out? I think it's a great tool, and I want to make sure that we're using that tool, because there are so many programs out there that we want to make sure. I did have a child there tell me that they tried it, and it was like a algebra 2. It was 1:00 in the morning, and she was like, it was great. And especially for our students who don't have access to tutoring, I want to make sure that this time of year is when you're really submitting your college essays, and that's a great opportunity for kids to submit their college essays who maybe don't have a chance for somebody to professionally look at that. So I really want to push that. I want to thank all the students at Alonzo High School and I just had such a great time. And since then, I've actually had a couple more offers. So I'm already booked for a couple more subbings. So, which is, the best way to really find out about what's going on in schools is really talking to the students. And the students told me some of their big concerns were, I'll be honest, is the amount of testing that they're experiencing. They feel like they're over-tested. Also, the uniform policy, how they feel like it's very different for girls compared to boys. That was a big concern. Another one was the lunches, the amount of time that it took in a big facility to get a lunch and what that looks like for social time. And finally, many of the children did not want to wear masks, but when we talked about staying in school and how many of them had experienced quarantines last year and how they were so happy to be in school and they were really hopeful for a homecoming. So I think those are the things that, you hear from, principals and teachers, but really the customer are the students. So hearing from them is really really important. And that's something I really definitely want to do regularly. And the last thing is Latinos in Action at Pierce Middle School. They're going to have a car wash this Saturday from 9 to 11. So I hope a lot of people will go out to support this group. I know that, I'll be there. So please come out to Pierce Middle School this Saturday from 9 to 11. And thank you to everyone, all the way from, the superintendent, the custodians. Every time I go to the school, I see how clean. I served lunch. I actually cleaned up with my mask, and I saw how hot it was. And teaching all day with a mask is very difficult and challenging. So I really appreciate each and every member and what they're doing to make sure that our students are in school and that we're all thriving and trying to live as normal of a life as we can under these circumstances.
And thank you, Member Combs, for volunteering, being a sub, and doing so much for so many during this time. Member Perez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess because I work in the healthcare industry, when I go to visit a school, I just go to one school because of the contact tracing. And, I'm very aware of where I go, who I'm around, and then I leave it there and, and don't visit another school. And then I remember who I visited. And then, just in case I'm sick, I'm able to let them know. Not from school to school, because then that makes it very difficult, especially for you to contact trace where I've been and who I've been in contact with. So, but, visiting the schools has been exciting, but very limiting, especially right now. But I got to tell you, I've already been booked for the Great American Teach-In, and that is not until November. But how is that going to look like this year, by the way?
The American Teach-In? Yes, ma'am. So I think that we want to have the same mentality that we've had historically every year. We just have to look and see where we are related to COVID. If we continue to have the downward spiral within our community, within our schools, I think we will be able to open it up. If we need to continue to adjust dates or modify, we will do so. But I think as we get closer, we'll be able to make an informed decision to make that happen. I will say one thing is that met with a cohort of principals today, and really looking at how we can get volunteers back on our campuses in a safe manner. They are really struggling to have additional hands on deck. So we're looking at potentially working with what the criteria would be for those volunteers to be on our campuses, because so many of our whether it's in the main office, whether it's in the media center, whether it's individuals helping with literacy interventions, we want to get individuals back as much as we can, but it'll be in a controlled experience. But we'll work through that. But at the same token, we'll look through the American Teach-In and make certain that as we get closer, make an informed decision and keep the board apprised.
Thank you, Member Perez. And indeed, it's coming up in November, so yeah, we have to have that preparation. Well, at any rate, last but not least, I just, and Pablo, are you still awake over there? Okay, don't kick the ball yet. But I wanted to say, Shake, Member Washington, I also saw students, every one of the students being engaged in Shields, crowded classroom, every one of those children at Roosevelt, Miss Dahl. It was just, and Superintendent Davis, you have to know, these teachers, they are pouring so much energy and love to these kids with a mask on. And that to me is probably just incredible. So, but anyway, and it's not really anyway, but Denise Salvino, the principal at Leonard, is actually having a mask support group, her kids, her students, to try to incorporate positivity in wearing the mask. So she's building a culture on safety and health. And thanks, Ms. Salvino, wherever you are. Let's go ahead and look at the unsung heroes. I'm just making that new title up. Pablo, let's put it on the video. This is all the board members. This comes not from me. This is reflecting of each and every board member who does want to say thank you, bus drivers. And I think we're going to have it on, and let's see if we do.
What we did, and this is the school board members, all 7 of them,
They wrote a thank you and an appreciation letter to all the bus drivers in Hillsborough County, which are 1,400 bus drivers. And what we did is try to share our appreciation and the importance of who they are to our children. We know that they are the point of service from the morning when they pick them up to they deliver, and then at the end of the day when the kids are all exuberant and they're going to share everything about their day. It's the bus driver that shows the care, the passion, the love of the children.
Lynn and myself were here today passing out just some of the 1,400 letters from the school board members and the 1,400 free McCafe beverage for our school bus drivers, because we know from Casper's that showing appreciation to our employees, we have better employees. And so for us to now extend that tentacle into the community and help out the bus drivers, it just shows the love and support that the business community gives to Hillsborough schools. We appreciate you, we support you, and we're here for you whenever you need us.
Bus drivers, we appreciate you, what you do for our children, what you do for our district. You keep them safe, you give them love, and you give them a great smile every time you see them. So thank you, board members, for engaging in that. And also, just like the other board members said, we don't want to ever miss the great custodians, the food service, the ESP, the extra support personnel, all of these, the resource officers, all these people have made a commitment, despite the very much challenges of the COVID, to position themselves to the best advantage for the students' sake. Students first. Thank you, Superintendent Davis. Thank you, board members. And I'll go ahead and run to that football game, and I'm going to adjourn.